All right, good morning. It is a Thursday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. That would make me Glenn Clark. Griffin's here. Prince Charles is here this morning as well. Coming up this morning, we will preview the Kansas City Chiefs as we get ready for the Super Bowl. Their color analyst, Danan Hughes, is going to join us a little bit later on. He also knows a thing or two about baseball. Dude was a quite the talented two-sport athlete. We'll talk to him about the Super Bowl. Maybe squeeze in. I think he did Maryland's regional, if I remember correctly, last year. We had him on talking about that. So maybe we'll squeeze in one about that. But obviously the Super Bowl takes precedence as it's coming up on Sunday night. Chelsea Jans from the Washington Post, national MLB writer, she wrote a piece about where the Orioles find themselves. Now, this is before the lawsuit was dismissed. I'm not sure how much that changes things, but she wrote about the big picture, some of the stuff that we've talked about where you want to be excited about the baseball side of it. You want to feel good, but some of the lingering questions, the lingering doubt influences that. So we'll chat with her about all of that. And also this morning, Ken Zalis will join us. We'll make our picks for the Super Bowl. Obviously, the Super Bowl pick itself is irrelevant. I have clinched the victory in our competition. Andrew Steck, I believe, somewhere in November, clinch being the worm, so that part of it doesn't matter. We are doing a side bet, however, this week. Did anyone agree to get involved with our side bet?
Not many people, but I can follow up real quick with everyone. Be like, you sure you don't want
to? Did they decline or just not respond?
They just didn't respond to that.
But that's the thing. The email didn't let. You need to make sure that we need to know who might be in for the side bet, because if it's just you and I, it's a little disappointing. We'll do it.
I mean,
we're gonna do it,
we'll be
but
able to talk Ken into it.
It's a little disappointing. Charles, I don't know what the rules are for student athletes at Stevenson University. Our side bet this week is that the loser has to recreate the Tom Brady thirst trap photo from earlier in the week. We need Charles' microphone on.
So Griffin sent me the email before the show, and I was like, he didn't mention the loser part of it.
You didn't mention that?
I said yeah, and then I looked, and I was like, okay, well.
You already agreed.
I have to put,
all right. Charles is already in.
So I got him in. Yeah.
Charles is already in. I don't want to get you in trouble. All right, this is really important.
No.
I don't know what the rule. I really don't know what the rules are for these things. You're good. You're allowed to do that, right?
I mean, yeah, I'm pretty sure.
All right. I mean, bro, I don't. I mean, look, in the area of NIL, I'm pretty sure.
I'll go ask our compliance person, Coach Jackie.
Okay. Oh, is that who it is? I didn't know that. All right. Well, I think it's fine. I trust me. I've seen what some of the gymnasts that are getting a lot of NIL money are posting on Instagram. I think you're going to be okay. So at least the three of us are in. We will see if anyone else will have the balls to get in. They don't even need to come in and do it. They can do it at home. Yeah. For God's sakes. Let's go. What are we doing here? Some of them are fairly attractive. Paul's a fairly attractive gentleman. John Proctor, yeah. I mean, I've seen a lot worse. What?
Paul Valley.
Paul Valley. Of course Paul Valley's
Paul Valley's in.
Well, Paul Valley's in because he's good looking. He knows it wouldn't be the end of the world for him to have a Tom Brady thirst trap photo up on Twitter. All right, we'll do picks this morning as well. That's all on the way. Plus, we'll do fighting words. We'll try to squeeze in a movie review. Griffin told me yesterday he watched Road Trip. What was it that I told you I needed you to watch?
Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Watch that this week. Got it? That's the next one. So that's all coming up on the program today. Busy Thursday edition of the show. Bet $5 with DraftKings and instantly get $200 in bonus bets for this weekend's big game. Get this and other great sportsbook promos and specials at PressBoxOnline.com/offers. That's PressBoxOnline.com/offers. I want you guys to go ahead and thank me. No, literally, go ahead, thank me. Thank me in advance.
Thanks, Glenn.
All right, very good. I appreciate it. Charles, I'd like one from you as well.
I would like to thank you as well.
Thank you very much. All right, now, I need you to know how badly I wanted to cancel everything that we had planned to do for the show today and just spend 2 hours talking about Kevin effing Durant! Oh, my God!
Well, yeah, all right, thanks. Yeah, thanks.
Holy crap!
Woke up and felt like my house was bombed.
I swear to God, last night, I'm sitting there. I'm on to season 2 of White Lotus. I still don't enjoy it. I want to make that abundantly clear. I don't know why I'm still watching it. I still don't enjoy it. I want to be a part of the cultural conversation. Dallin Cuff nailed this. I am feeling like left out because I didn't watch, right? And everybody's talking about it. So despite the fact that I watched the entirety of the first season and was like, it's fine, I'm already watching season 2 anyway. And I should know better. It's not for me. I don't think it's as good as you guys think it is. We can talk about it some other time. I could do 2 hours about that, for the record. But I'm sitting there watching White Lotus, and all of a sudden I look up, and there's old Shams, the Riz God, as they call him on Twitter, which I got to be honest with you, is tremendous. Like, imagine that being, like, whatever you do in your life, there's nothing that's ever going to be better than being known as the Riz God. Like, Jesus Christ. I just quit. Like, just do whatever else you want to do. So I look up, and there's the tweet from Shams, and I swear to Christ, I made a noise in my house. Like, my wife was panicked about it. She thought it was something coming from the TV. She yelled down from her sleep, "Can you turn it down?" Not really. Kevin Durant! So for those of you that don't know, I have been a Phoenix Suns fan since 2006 when I moved out to Phoenix for 2 years. I spent 2 years wandering in the desert like every young man does, trying to find themselves. And I fell in love. We talked about it with Jeff Barker early in the week, for those that don't know. I moved out, and I had no team, obviously, growing up here. We didn't have a team. I had no allegiance, unlike some of you. Look, I've said this a million times. I'm over thinking it's stupid. If you guys, for whatever reason, root for the Washington Wizards or the Washington Capitals, that's your call. I don't begrudge you that. I just never will understand feeling some sort of an association with Washington. I don't have any association with it. It means the exact same to me as Charlotte or Philly or Cleveland or any other city in the world. I don't have, other than the fact that I've been there a little bit more frequently because it's not as far away as those. That's it. I've worked there, in fact, but I don't have any, like, personal association. So I've never in my life found myself being a Washington Wizards fan in any way. So I never had a team. I get out there. It's the height of the Mike D'Antoni era. It's Amari Stoudemire and Sean Marion and Steve Nash. They're scoring 130 points a game.
Was that his MVP year?
I was out there for the second.
You said 06.
Yeah,
right?
I'm trying to remember the math on that. I was out there because he was MVP twice. God, this is going to drive me nuts. It's so funny that I don't remember. They say it's funny. It's, at this point, 17 years ago. God, I am so old. I would have been out there for the second MVP season. I would have been out there for.
The 2006?
Yes,
Okay.
I would have been out there for that. It was magical. And as I explained to Jeff Barker the other day, they were also the most accessible organization I've ever been around in the history of doing my job. That literally Mike D'Antoni would give you his cell phone number and say, "You want me on the show? Call me. I'll come on all of your shows." Mike D'Antoni would come on my shows regularly. They were happy to have players on with us. They were happy to coordinate. You want Leandro Barbosa to call in today? You got it. We'll do that. It was the greatest time I could ever ask for. And as I explained to people, in that market, nobody cared about the Diamondbacks. Nobody cared about the Cardinals. Nobody cared about the Coyotes as much as I wanted them to. That was the only team in that market that people actually cared about. And the atmosphere was electric every night. You would go to a game, and it would be intoxicating. They knocked the Lakers out of the playoffs the second year I was there, and it was the most time I ever spent in conversation with Kobe Bryant, because after one of the games, like, he was just in the locker room, and we just ended up chatting for a little while, and it was like, as growing up a huge NBA fan, I fell in love. I just fell in complete and total love. And then for a little while, it sucked ass being a Suns fan. It sucked. It was the worst. They were wretched. They had the worst owner in sports after Donald Sterling left the Clippers. It sucked. Well, now they've had a new owner for all of 12 hours, and they have Kevin Durant. God, and they didn't have to give up DeAndre Ayton in order to get him. Look, and the bummer is I actually like all the guy. I mean, Jay Crowder, whatever, but I like Cam Johnson, and I like Mikal Bridges. Actually, I think Mikal Bridges was a revelation last year. So it's a bummer to lose those guys. But Kevin Durant!
All to lose to the Jazz in the playoffs.
Yes, exactly right. They're going to lose to
think
Russell
that-
Westbrook
Yep.
and
I
the
think
Jazz.
this trade fixes some of Chris Paul's problems this season.
I think it means that he no longer – so Chris Paul has had to be – this has been one of the problems. This has actually been the biggest Devin Booker problem, is that Chris Paul is their closer, right? Like, Chris Paul is the guy who every possession goes through at the end of the game. And God bless him. Look, it's been – I mean, they got him to, 2 wins away from winning an NBA title a couple of years ago. But it's a lot to ask of someone – trust me, I know what it's like to be 40. Hi, Glenn Clark over here. We're basically the same age. It's a lot to ask. So to relieve some of that, I think goes a long way. I can't guarantee that it's going to lead to an NBA title, but my God, it's Kevin Durant. Trade away all of the first-round picks. Trade away every single one. And at some point, if Chris Paul retires, you still have a pretty damn good nucleus there of those 3 dudes, and Booker, Ayton, and Durant. And I get it. Kevin Durant is fickle, and at some point in 2 years, if he's unhappy, he might decide that he's ready to go be a whatever he wants to be at that point, an Atlanta Hawk or something like that. I don't know, but Jesus Christ, I'm excited about it. Oh, my God, I'm freaking out about it. They play the Hawks tonight. I don't know if that game's on TV. I got to figure out a way to watch it. And I might have to sign up for NBA League Pass. Do we know if he's playing tonight or not? Do we know that yet? Yeah, get on that. That's very important. Everybody in Baltimore's
We'll have
worried
a lot
about
of ESPN games. And I was looking at that 06 roster you were talking about.
Yeah.
Jalen Rose was on that roster.
Yeah, and Jalen, you know what's really funny? Jalen Rose is a great dude. Great dude. And this is a true story. I did not know that Jalen Rose finished his degree with the University of Maryland University College. So, like, we were just kind of chatting about it one day, and it's the only reason I figured that out is because on his official bio, his alma mater was listed as Maryland. And I was like, what the F? Like, we know where Jalen Rose went to school. Like, it's everybody on the planet. You don't have to be my age. You know that it's one of the more legendary stories. I'm like, what the hell is that? So I just approached him about it one day, and I'm like, hey, can I ask you a question? I was reading the Suns bio, and it's got Maryland listed as your alma mater. He was like, well, yeah, I mean, I finished my degree there. And now all of a sudden I'm excited. I'm like, what? How did nobody know about this? Like, so I'm asking him questions about, where did you live in College Park? Like, where did you? He was like, dude, I did it on the computer. Like, I did University College, which ironically was how I was trying to finish my degree at the time because I had moved out to Arizona. So I was trying to finish it via University College. So we ended up talking about that a little bit and connecting. And he was a great dude. I love Jalen Rose. He actually was also very willing to call into your shows. It was also 2006. There was no Twitter at the time. Like, guys in general were more willing to call into shows and do media stuff. So, oh, man, it was such a great time. But I'm freaking out. I'm freaking the F out about this. I am panicked. I am flummoxed. I don't know what else to say. And, like, it's funny because – like, I feel I got the question from a buddy of mine who texted me this morning, like, if somebody had asked you about Kevin Durant 48 hours ago, would your feelings have been more negative or positive? And I've always been weirded out by that because I definitely, everybody who's listened for a long time knows, I made fun of the people that have somehow made it seem like what Kevin Durant did in going to Golden State is any worse than anybody else who has attempted to go be on a team with other stars. Like, we have somehow created a disassociation for Kevin Durant because specifically he joined the team that had knocked him out of the playoffs the year before. Like, somehow we tried to create some sort of cognitive dissonance that, like, that's evil. Whereas when the Celtics once upon a time put Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, and Paul Pierce on the same team, or Miami, or any other place, either time that Brooklyn has attempted to do this, which is now twice, and it's failed spectacularly both times, we've somehow separated and said what Kevin Durant did in going to Golden State, we've held up as being individually like this embarrassing thing. And I've never been on board with that. I have never agreed with the Kevin Durant hate. The guy won 2 NBA titles. You don't have to like it. You don't have to, root for him. I've never been bothered by it. The embarrassing thing we do, we talk about, like, how Kevin Durant never won a ring because we try to, like, invalidate the 2 that he won in Golden State. I mean, it just makes us look stupid. I get it. They were loaded. Like, they were insanely loaded. But other teams are insanely loaded. Does it not count what LeBron did in Cleveland because Kyrie and Kevin Love were on the team? Like, this notion that because you have other good players on the team, that means your title doesn't count? Get the entire F out of here. I have no problem with identifying times where maybe someone's individual performance was more significant. Like what Kawhi did in Toronto will always stand out. Of course, we remember that that Warriors team was decimated by injury, it wasn't the same, but it still doesn't change the fact that Kawhi had one of the great individual playoff runs of all time. Even what Steph did last year, frankly. Klay Thompson stunk in the playoffs last year. He was wretched. And Steph almost single-handedly, Jordan Poole was pretty helpful for the most part, but Steph almost single-handedly carried them to a title. We'll remember that for a long time. There's individual performances that we will remember. History has allowed us to blur and make it seem like LeBron carried those Cavaliers to a title, and we all remember that Kyrie Irving was a monster in those playoffs. It was absolutely ridiculous in those playoffs. The Dirk title in Dallas, almost individually, carried by Dirk Nowitzki. That I get it. Those things we'll remember significantly, but the notion that you invalidate someone because there was other good players on the team, nah, you're gonna miss me with that, dog. That ain't gonna happen. I don't have any hatred at all for Kevin Durant. I get it. He's been mercurial at times. He's a superstar basketball player. I know that Steph Curry's such a nice guy, but we clown Steph Curry for being so nice, right? We make fun of him for being as nice as he is. I get that his Twitter persona has been there is easy fodder for making fun of Kevin Durant. I understand that. But I've never been a Kevin Durant hater in any world. I actually have always enjoyed watching him play basketball.
Yeah. I don't feel the same way. I don't invalidate his titles at all. Again, it's just again the logistic. It looks the way he joins the team that just won 72 games that beat him.
So there are rules. You're allowed to play for.
And I don't.
Which teams is someone allowed to play for?
I just don't love. I don't root for Kevin Durant. I guess this one.
Well, you don't have to root for Kevin Durant. Nobody's going to force you to.
And I get to root against him more.
I don't understand.
I guess I'm happy.
That's the flip side of it.
Yeah.
I don't understand why you would root against Kevin Durant.
Because I don't want to see him. I don't want to see him. I don't want to see this this work. You join.
What do you mean
the
this
team,
work?
You join the team that beat you, and then you go and win. So I prefer to root for the good guys like LeBron.
What is
and
that
Russell
even?
Westbrook.
What does that mean? What do you think that? I swear to God, I dealt with this with Kyle all the time. What do you think you're saying?
I think I'm saying.
What statement do you think?
I don't want to see Kevin Durant win.
Why?
Because I don't like what he did.
You don't like that he played for the Warriors.
Yeah.
Because
they beat him, and then he
there's a
won
rule.
80 games in a season.
There's a rule. They didn't win the finals. I don't know if
Yeah.
you remember that. There's a rule that you can't join which teams. What teams are you not
There's
specifically?
no rule, but it's like you can't.
No, but you've decided you hated somebody over the team
I
that
didn't
they
say I
played
hated
for.
him. I didn't say I hated
You
him.
said you don't
I
root.
said-
You root against him
Yeah,
because
is
the
that
team that he
hate?
played for.
Is that
I
hate?
mean, dude, if I'm going purposely to root against somebody, there's got to be something in my heart. I'm indifferent.
Because he
I'm-
took the. It looked weak.
What do you mean it looked
easy?
weak?
I say that here.
Explain-
Never touching
yes,
an NBA
exactly.
court,
This is
but-
what's so pathetic about saying something. It sounds like some crap that Skip Bayless would say on whatever channel
This is
he's
not
on, and we would
what Skip
regurgitate
Bayless
because
would say.
we're brainless. What are the rules? Who is someone allowed to play for?
create your own team, I guess.
What does that mean? Create your own team.
Try and win it. Try and win it on your own terms, I guess. But he's joining a team that's already established, a team that's already been good, and he's gonna try and win with them rather than trying to do it where he wanted to go.
What is the rule for how many good players are allowed to be on a team in order for you to
3? No.
So if there's already 3 good players on a team,
there's no rule.
This is why these things are so stupid. You've just made up something in your mind where Kevin Durant is the anti-hero, is Taylor Swift.
I'm not making it up. He is the anti-hero. He joined the team that set the record for wins in a season.
Again, what teams is he allowed to join?
Not the Suns.
Why?
Or the Warriors.
Why?
Because I think I got to make a phone call.
You do. We do have a guest coming up, but we can keep this going because I don't. You have no idea what the rule. You've just decided that this. I don't know what the rule is, but this violates the rule. It's dumb. It makes
forcing
us
your way out of a
and
place that you wanted to be, like Brooklyn, and
they traded away Kyrie Irving. What's he supposed to do? Sit around and wait?
I guess, or they could make another move. I don't know.
Thank you.
In the NBA,
you nailed it.
make a
You
move.
nailed it.
I heard the analyst talking about that yesterday on a couple of shows. Like, this gives KD the perfect chance to take a team to the finals, possibly with like no help.
So he just
And
leaves.
I guess KD just heard that and was like, I'm out of
I
here.
mean, why does it
But
like what? I don't understand what that is. It's this notion that matters. By the way, again, LeBron James has never gone to a team that didn't already have established stars on it. I'm not trying to knock LeBron James. I think LeBron James is the best player of the era by not by far, but significantly, he's the best player of the era. But for some reason, we like LeBron James. It's okay, although, of course, once upon a time it wasn't. Everybody was mad at him about how he handled the move to Miami. It's okay that LeBron James has never gone to a team that didn't already have established stars on it. That's okay. But Kevin Durant isn't. We hold the two of them in different worlds. We pretend like LeBron carried those Cavaliers instead of acknowledging he got Kyrie Irving. It's weirdo stuff, the way that we do this. We're creeps. We have just decided that our hatred for Kevin Durant is going to be we have to have a heel. And so we just decided that Kevin Durant's going to be the heel. And, in a weird way, I kind of get it. I always like having somebody to root against. So I'm a pro wrestling fan. I know why heels are so good. But my God, man, we can't define it. We've just decided you're not allowed to do that. Do what? Join a team that beat you in the playoffs. Specifically, that's the rule. If they beat you in the playoffs, you can't play for that team. That's the rule. If you lost to them, you have to now be hell-bent for the rest of your life. You have to be like Rocky, training and only caring about one team. What if they're gutted the next year? Then are you allowed to join them? What if they don't have any good players on their roster? Then we don't know what the rules are. We've just decided that Kevin Durant violated them. Because we're pathetic. Because we stink. Because we are lame and need someone to fuel our hatred. We need good and evil. And I've never been on board with that. Now, look, I'm going to be a Kevin Durant fan now. I was never a big Kevin. I wasn't like I was openly, Kevin Durant fan number 1 or something like that. But I'm going to be today. Get me a jersey or something like that, man. I'm all in. Plays are my team. That's the way that it goes. But I've always found it sad and pathetic the way that as basketball fans we've treated Kevin Durant like he was some sort of pariah because he did what everybody else in this era does, which is try to be on teams with other good players. That's all we do. The first opportunity every player has, it's maybe unfair. I guess Damian Lillard has stuck around in Portland. It's not like everyone has gone out. Bradley Beal, for God's sakes. Yeah. Jesus. That poor guy. God damn,
living
man.
it up in the Capital One.
Just imagine that being your life. Yeah, you know what? It's a great point. He's not Kevin Durant. Instead, he never got to experience anything that matters ever in his professional basketball life.
Would have been okay with him going to the Suns.
So he's allowed to go to the Suns?
Yeah.
But they already have 3 good players on that team. So why would he
I
be?
guess he wouldn't have fit because they have Book. But
yeah, it'd be pretty redundant, I think, between he and Devin Booker. What are the rules again?
There's no specific rules.
Of course there's no rules. You just want to hate someone.
Well, from where I stood, when he went to Golden State, it didn't sit right with me, but then I had a change in how I felt after he left, and the same people that kind of hounded on him for going to Golden State hounded on him again for why are you now leaving all this talent? Why are you leaving this such a good team?
So insanely stupid.
And
We have.
There's no win for him.
I
felt bad.
We are without scruple. We are completely unscrupulous. We just decide that we want to hate somebody. And again, once upon a time, it was LeBron. We hated LeBron for how he left for Miami, completely ignoring that Boston had done this thing first. We utterly pretended like that wasn't a thing. The Celtics weren't the start of the super team concept. And once the toothpaste was out of the tube, you don't put it back. The idea that everybody was going to watch Boston go win an NBA championship and be like, God, that's unfair. We shouldn't have other good players on our team. Instead of saying, maybe we should try to put together the best teams. Stop. You guys are embarrassing. Anyway, I said I wasn't going to talk about it for 2 hours, so I'm not going to do that. I swear to God. I don't know where our guy Danan Hughes is, though, because he could have broken things up. I imagine it's a busy week for him, however, so maybe I'll be willing to give him a pass. A couple of things quickly. I wanted to comment on By the way, today's show is also brought to you by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. The Toyota Tacoma comes in a range of models and trim lines so you can choose the perfect Tacoma to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today. I wanted to comment on, I saw a lot on social media about this one image from the other night when LeBron broke the record. And the image that everybody's clowning is pointing out that everyone, other than Phil Knight, is holding out their cell phone as LeBron is taking the shot. And there seems like there's almost, I don't know if it's even generational as much as everyone on Twitter has decided that it's embarrassing that everyone who was at the game couldn't just live in the moment and had to have their cell phones out to record it. The comparison was made to, some tweets showed that shot juxtaposed against, Michael Jordan hitting the shot against Byron Russell and the Jazz in the NBA Finals back in '97. Of course, when nobody could record film on their camera, so great on their phone, so great comparison. And I'm going to go a little bit of a different way here. One, every single person that's trying to make fun of people on the internet for having their cell phones out in that moment would have also had their cell phones out in the moment. I want to be abundantly clear about that. It's the thing where you think you're supposed to, it sounds really, it's almost like hating Kevin Durant. It sounds like you're smart. It sounds like you're saying something, so you feel the need to say it, but you ain't saying S. You absolutely 1,000%, if you were in the building the other night and you suddenly see everybody going to grab their camera and you realize, oh crap, he's 2 points away, you would have grabbed yours as well. Now let's talk about why. Because the why to me is really interesting. And it was something that I was thinking about a lot as I was watching this unfold on social media yesterday. The why is genuinely fascinating. Because the why, for some people, undoubtedly is about clout, right? For some people, they're grabbing their phones because they want to prove to their friends that they were there. They want to prove to their friends that they experienced it, that they've got more money, that they have the ability to buy tickets, or they know someone, they have a connection. That there is a pathetic existence for a lot of people on Instagram, wherever it is, about trying to prove that you have a certain life to mask your insecurities for whatever reason. It's sad. It's pathetic. Undoubtedly, some of the people who were there for that reason, and some of those people grab their phone for that exact reason. They want to shove it up their friends' asses that they were able to be there for the record-setting game. But for other people, and I feel this way, I went to see J. Roddy Walston at the Auto Bar on Saturday night. And I want to make it abundantly clear, that gets you zero clout. None. The overwhelming majority of people in my life don't know who J. Roddy Walston is. The Auto Bar is a venue that comfortably could fit a couple hundred people, most. Uncomfortably, we were on Saturday night because there were a lot more people there than that. Quite uncomfortably. At one point, a friend of mine wandered in and was like, hey, man, I'm in the back. And I said, I will see you the next time I see you because I can't move. There are too many people in this room right now. I say that to say that despite the fact that it got me nothing in the way of clout, I pulled out my phone on Saturday night when I was at the Auto Bar watching J. Roddy Walston. And the reason I did that is because I realized some time ago that it does feel good to be able to go back and relive things that you experienced in your life. And I have far more context for that at the age of 39. Look, I'll be open about this. I've openly talked about the fact that my childhood best friend passed away a couple years ago, and I deal with grief. And the single biggest thing that helps when I'm struggling with grief is going back and pictures and stories and things like that. It's the single most significant way for me to deal with grief. And I end up kicking myself. Like, why didn't I take more pictures? Why didn't I take more videos? It's why I'm so constantly posting pictures and videos with my kids. Every day I pull up that memories thing on Facebook and go back and look, and then I get to show my kids, like, hey, do you want to see what you looked like when you were 2? You don't remember this at all, but you want to see what we were doing? This morning I was reminded that 3 years, or I guess before the pandemic, so 4 years ago, when my sons were 4 and 1, we had them it was, I think, the first time we took them to a Towson basketball game. And there's pictures of them with the mascot, and we go all the time now, so it's not quite the same thing, but they like that. It's neat. So if I had been there on Tuesday night, I don't really care. Like, I respect LeBron James. I'm not a LeBron James fan, like in the way that it's personal in any sort of way. Like, I have reverence for him as, the greatest basketball player of an era, but I'm not, a number one. I don't have LeBron James posters on my wall. I've never owned a LeBron James jersey. But if I was there, I'd do the exact same thing because I'd want to remember it. And that's okay. This notion that people try to pass along like it's some sort of disqualifying thing for this generation that they film things. Like, there are issues. The clout thing is pathetic. It's sad. I don't know if it's generational. I think people of my age still deal with that. I think there are a lot of people that have clout problems. I try to be cognizant of that. Like, when I share something, I try to be careful about it, that it doesn't come off. Sometimes I just don't share things. I just don't. Because I realize, like, I just kind of sound like a douchebag if I share this. I share pictures because they mean something to me and because I want to see them. And if you don't like them, I don't give a rat's ass. Like, you're not going to believe this from looking at everything that I've done on social media over the years. I don't care about that stuff. Now, I get yelled at all the time by people in this business. Hey, you got to do a better job. You should be responding to other people's tweets. You should be replying because that's the best way to go about picking up followers. I'm good, Chief. I'm good. And again, I get it. It would be good for my career. I just have no interest in being that guy that just goes and responds to every tweet all day. It's a sad way of living, man. I'm not that dude, but I want it for me. When we all get away from Facebook, I realize, and maybe they do the same thing on Instagram. I don't know. I'm not on Instagram as heavy. That thing where they show you what you were doing on that day is the best thing in all of social media. No, the two things that are the best things in all of social media. One, reliving your own experiences. Two, knowing when somebody else's birthday might be. The best things that are offered by social media. Of course, they're not the things we care about the most. The things we care about most, again, clout. Creating some image of yourself, whether it's true or not. But the best things about social media are the ability to relive your experiences, and again, knowing when somebody else's birthday is, so that you could be a half-decent friend. So the clowning of everyone holding out their phones the other night, pathetic. I mean, pathetic. It's redirecting our own insecurity about something. What it is, I don't know. Like, it might be our own insecurity about, again, generally how things have gone. I get it. I'm frustrated whenever I'm somewhere with other people and my wife, like, pulls out her phone and is clearly looking at memes because she's disinterested. It infuriates me. It infuriates me. Hey, be present. Be involved in this conversation. But trying to capture something for yourself so that you can relive it and you can remember the experience, and in 10 years, when the memories start to get a little fuzzy, you can look back and say, wow, that was really cool. I got to do that. That's fun. We had a former editor at Pressbox, and she's now she's got a chief position at the Merrill School of Journalism at the University of Maryland. Her name is Caitlin Wilson. And Caitlin, I don't think she even knows this, but once upon a time she was on a trip to, I want to say, Italy, and she posted a picture, and she captioned it, and it's something that stuck with me for a long time. She said, "The memory of a day like today can carry you for the rest of your life." And I've attempted, like literally since that moment, I've attempted when I was experiencing things to try to live in it because of that. Because she's right. And I felt that in particular as I was dealing with my own grief about my friend dying. those memories, absolutely, on dark days, on days where you're struggling, on days where you're going through it, on days that suck, on days where, you book a show and the guests don't post and the equipment doesn't work and you wonder what the hell it is you're doing with your career. That's the type of thing that carries you on those days. That's the type of thing that, hey, today's not great, but remember what I got to do? Remember that thing that stuck with me for forever? And so I attempt. And pictures help with that, and videos help with that. Remembering the things that you got to experience are wonderful. So I got no vitriol at all for the people that had their phones out the other night. In fact, it's the exact opposite. If I had vitriol for anyone, it'd be the people that are making fun of them. Because that's a memory that I'd want to have for the rest of my life. That's a memory that I'd want to be able to relive eternally. Again, if it was about clout, seek help. And I mean that. Like, I'm not trying to say that in a flippant way. I think there are people that really should, that would benefit from just, some therapy. Therapy is a good thing. Go get it. But for those that just want to, like me at the J. Roddy Walston show the other night, where, again, there was no clout to be had. Zero. That improves. Nobody is like, oh, man, look how cool Glenn is.
Well, you never know if you don't post it, maybe.
You think that suddenly there's a world in which
like,
J. Roddy Walls under the Auto Bar is going to get me a ton of clout? And, like, all of a sudden, like, dude, I look at Glenn a completely different way, man.
Yeah.
He was at a dive bar on Saturday night watching a musician that nobody's heard of.
Yeah, but to your exact point, like a couple months ago when I was at the Steelers game, my friend took a video like during Renegade, and I was looking for that video like last week for some reason, and I couldn't find it. I realized he took it, and and he had it, and he sent it to me, and it was it was nice to remember that
it was a
there,
cool
and
thing that you got to do. Yeah. I got to do a thing. I got to go with my friends to a football game, and that was fun. That was a cool thing that I got to experience, and I want to relive that. It's not. It's clearly not about clout. That was a nondescript, podunk football game that no one gave a rat's ass about, but you got to experience it with your friends, and so you want to be able to relive that. That's a good thing. That's cool. Again, I don't know the motives of every person that was at that basketball game the other night. And undoubtedly, some of them aren't really fans. They're just people that, again, clout. I keep using the word clout. They were just there for the clout. They were just there to be, and that's a different thing. But I think undoubtedly for a lot of people, the moment was something that they wanted to experience and live in and remember. And even in the music world, there are bands that get frustrated when people have their phones out. Like, dude, be in the moment. Live in it. I hate looking out and seeing a bunch of phones. Like, what you're missing is that I want to live in the moment again. I paid for a ticket, and that event expires in 3 hours. But the moment can carry with me for the rest of my life. And I want to recreate that moment eternally. I know the guy kind of deep. There's a little all over the place with that one, but I just saw that yesterday, and it really stuck out to me.
It makes me think of, like, how the Super Bowl this weekend, like, it's seen as an accomplishment, that, like, classic shot of all the cameras flashing in the stands right before the kickoff. Like, that's seen as an accomplishment, like the growth and progression of where we are as a society and like a sports.
It's interesting.
Like,
that's interesting. It's an interesting way of looking at it. And
to bring it back to the NBA, like, where was this slander when on Kobe's last game and everybody's.
I think it was just because of this one image, right? Like, I think it was unique to that. Because
people were that similar KD hate that LeBron gets as well. Like, those are two players that's very 50-50. You either love them or you hate them.
Right.
So they have their large audiences that like them.
But I don't think. But this wasn't about. This was about the fans. It wasn't unique to LeBron, right?
It's still kind of about LeBron because they brought the Jordan into it. And it's like,
that's because they juxtaposed it with that Game 6 shot.
Well, as I said, that's insane. There were no cell phone cameras then. Like, what are we doing? Like, what in what world are these two things
People
similar?
should have had like a notebook out writing.
This isn't just. That's not just apples. Right. That's
Polaroid.
That's good. That's not. Neither one of those is bad. Dude, there is absolutely nothing wrong with it. Again, there are deeper issues and there are things that people should deal with and they should reconcile, their attempt to create a life that isn't actually theirs and how fake they might be on social media. Those are different conversations. But in general, for an awful lot of people, and again, as someone who was at an event this weekend that was definitely not LeBron James breaking the all-time scoring record, but yet was still feeling like I wanted to remember it. I want a year from now to wake up in the morning and be like, oh, yeah, J. Roddy Walson played one of my favorite songs. He played Midnight Cry. I love that song. Like, I want to feel that on February 4th, 2024. And the only way to do that is take a picture, take a video. Now, again, the bit where people are, like, taking videos of the entire show, like, okay, like, settle down. Settle down. That's way too much. The longest video that I took was 1 minute. 1 minute of one song. Because then that's enough for me to be able to get the feeling back, to be able to say, right, I remember that night. That was a cool night. My buddy Chad Lamassa, longtime listener, invited me out. That was neat. I love Chad, right? Like, I appreciated him doing that. That was cool. I wanted to go. Fun. And that's all I need. All right. I don't know. I was going to say it's not a sermon. It's just a thought, but it almost felt like a sermon. Like, that might have actually been a sermon this morning. When we come back in, we are going to talk some baseball. Chelsea Janes of the Washington Post, she wrote at length about the totality of what the Orioles have going on, both on the field and off the field. It's a complicated picture. We're going to talk to her about that next. It is a Thursday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now, and it's our annual Best Of issue. On the cover, we recognize Orioles catcher Adley Rutschman as our 2022 Mo Gabba Sports Person of the Year, and he sits down with us to discuss how his arrival in Baltimore was simultaneous with the Birds' turnaround. Also inside, we recognize the top people, performances, and moments of the year throughout the local sports scene. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can always find the entire edition as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
The Baltimore County Police Department is hiring. Entry-level officers start at over $60,000 and over $64,000 for lateral officers, with $10,000 signing bonuses available. Plus, cadets start at over $32,000. Great benefits are available like medical, dental, and vision insurance, tuition reimbursement, 15 sick days per calendar year with no limit, career advancement to more than 20 specialized units, and more, with further incentives for military service members and veterans. A passion for service, a career for life with the Baltimore County Police Department. Find out more at joinbaltimorecountypd.com or call 410-887-5542. Must be a United States citizen, have a valid driver's license, and a high school diploma or GED equivalent.
If you miss anything on the show, don't forget that you can watch full episodes at youtube.com/pressboxonline, and you can download podcasts on Apple, iTunes, Amazon, and Grindr. Wait, did I say Grindr? I don't think that you would find it on Grindr. Not that I know what's on Grindr or anything, I swear. On second thought, you know what? I don't care what you think. Here's Glenn.
Hey, Stan the Fan Charles is back tonight. I mentioned earlier that he had to skip Monday night show because of a bit of a personal issue, and I don't know if he's going to talk about that or not, but we'll find out tomorrow when he joins us in studio. He's back tonight. Stan the Fan Charles and Gary Stein will be joined by UMBC basketball coach Jim Ferry. You can check that out, facebook.com/PressBoxSports. If you miss it live, you can find it youtube.com/PressBoxOnline or PressBoxOnline.com/video. Stan the Fan Charles, Gary Stein, and UMBC basketball coach Jim Ferry. After they got a nice win last night against NJIT. They had hit a little bit of a funk, so it was good for them to get a win. Towson got a win last night. Navy got a win last night, so a good night local hoops-wise last night, and you'll be able to watch that tonight again, facebook.com/PressBoxSports. It is a Thursday edition of GCR. Quickly, I saw yesterday that like Roger Goodell during his annual press conference tossed out the idea of flexing primetime games in the future. And primetime, I mean, obviously they flex Sunday night games. We're talking about Thursday and Monday. It gets really tricky. It gets really, really tricky with the amount of like money people have to spend to try to travel to games. It's one thing if you're moving a game from 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock, right? Like, not the end of the world. Taking a game that's scheduled for a Thursday, like let's say the Ravens are playing in Nashville, because they go to Nashville next year. They go to Nashville, they go to Arizona. There's some desirable trips. Say the Ravens are going to Nashville next year, and that game is scheduled for early December on a Thursday night. And thousands of Ravens fans go ahead and book travel, make their plans around being in Nashville on a Thursday night. And then all of a sudden, right, like the Titans don't have a quarterback next year. Everything's a disaster, and that game doesn't look so hot. So they're like, we could put a better game on Thursday night, and they move the game to Sunday. How many people just put out a ton of money that are going to be harmed by that? I get it. We want the primetime games to be better because it's the one game that's on. I just think that's you're asking. I think there's going to have to be a limit to it. Like, you have to decide by like a month out whether that game is going to be in primetime or not. I think that might be the way it has to go. Joining us now, she is national baseball writer for the Washington Post, and she wrote a lengthy piece last weekend about the big picture of where the Baltimore Orioles are both on and off the field. And it is complicated. We've talked a lot about it over the course of the last couple of weeks. She's Chelsea Janes, and she's with us now here on GCR. Chelsea, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to catch up with you. Thank you for taking a couple of minutes for us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Chelsea, it was interesting after I read your piece because, of course, the news early this week was that, like the lawsuit between the Angelos family had been dismissed. And I was trying to ask smart people this, I'm not even really sure how much that changes things, right? Like, I guess it's one less complication that the Orioles are dealing with, but everything else remains very unsettled. Like the long-term ownership picture of the franchise, how much money they might be able to spend at some point to fortify this roster. As much as like it seems like it's a good thing that at least the owners of the team aren't suing each other any longer, I'm not sure that it really changes all that much about what you wrote.
That was my read as well. I think, so much about that family still remains kind of murky right now in terms of what are their intentions. If Peter Angelos dies, do they sell? Are they going to sell before that happens? Who gets to say if they sell? And the fact that they no longer have sort of this messy lawsuit happening, I don't even think uncomplicates that. It just sort of takes away some of the public embarrassment involved. So it's really a strange situation. And it was great that they got that out of the way because I think it was sort of an unforced error on the part of the Angelos family PR-wise. But yeah, I think there's still a lot of questions to be asked there, and you really can't necessarily trust the people giving you the answer.
Right. I understand that. And it feels like, it's an awkward conversation to have. I've brought up a few times, Chelsea, I tried on this show to not harp about all these other things because I get it. There is a lot of optimism for good reason in Baltimore. There's a lot of excitement about what they've built and what's still to come within their own system. But the question I keep asking is, at some point, if it requires them to spend money to fortify the roster. They didn't do it this offseason, but, I can kind of give a pass for that. I can say, hey, I still think on the field there are pieces that they want to see a little bit more of to know definitively whether they're going to be a part of this thing in the championship sort of push. I can, in a perfect scenario, say, I get it. They want to see more of Austin Hayes. They want to, maybe see a little bit more of Jorge Mateo before they decide one way or another if these guys are a part of it. But a year from now, am I confident that they're going to be ready to go spend real money? I don't know that I can say that at all.
Right. I think that's the question. I think we'll know. I think this winter it made sense not to splurge. You're not one splurge away at this point. You're a year and a splurge away, or you're a few prospects turning into real all-star caliber players away. So, you got to give those guys room to play. But if it's this time next year and there's been no spending, I think, that's a fair question. I mean, it's not like the Angelos has never spent. I was looking back at payroll numbers, and they were like fine, for a few years there in sort of the late 2010s. But yeah, I think, they've said that they expect to spend when the time is right. Mike Elias has seemed fairly confident that that's going to be the case, but he has to say that. So
Correct.
I think, I think it's going to be really interesting. But, it's with many ownership groups, the Lerner family, for example, isn't a free spending group, but when they got close, when they could kind of see it, they went for it. And I wonder if this team gets close enough soon enough that in the Angelos are still in charge, if it's going to be too hard to resist, that little push. But I don't know who's going to own that team in a few years either. I think it's all up in the air.
Chelsea Janes from the Washington Post is with us here on GCR. I'm imagining, like, they asked the question to Mike Elias, "Were you guys gonna be willing to spend money?" He's like, "Nah, never. We're never gonna do that. We're gonna be poverty forever. That's the way it goes."
Yes.
But go get your opening day tickets. They're available right now.
Right.
Chelsea, let me cover a couple things in here. One, we keep bringing up we don't know who the owner is going to be. I am so fascinated by how much John Angelos wants to be a part of a new imagining of the stadium, of a stadium district, of dragging out this lease thing, because there's this part of me that says, sure, he could just be doing all of that to try to get the maximum value for the franchise when he sells it. But knowing John Angelos, and I know him a little bit, I don't want to oversell that, but knowing him and how interested he is in entertainment, and the fact that, frankly, the family, for all of their warts, has largely cared about the city of Baltimore over the years, there is this part of me that can't shake the idea that maybe John Angelos really is, with $600 million worth of public money, trying to find a path by which he can be the owner of this baseball team for a long time. What do you make of the totality of that picture?
Yeah, I think I don't know him other than what we see publicly, so, I'm not super informed on him personally, but if you read and take what he says at face value, it sounds like, the goal is to kind of revitalize Camden Yards and the area the way they've revitalized the on-field product. And I think there's reason to believe that could happen. But I think what's so interesting to me is that people in the industry just seem convinced that team's going to be for sale soon.
Right. I
think it's one of the reasons the Nats didn't sell yet. I think it's sort of looming there. It's a very appealing franchise, I think. If there's somebody to come in and take, people don't like the Baltimore market, but beautiful stadium, money to burn to upgrade the stadium, and a ton of talent. It might be one of those things where you think about it and you think the price is too good to refuse. But, if he's in control, he seems to be the one who really kind of, at least publicly, has said a lot of things that he'd look very silly reversing on now. If he moved a team, if he, whatever, he'd look pretty terrible now. He's been pretty firm in his statements publicly that, like, they want to do this here. So we'll see. As always, it's who's running the show. And maybe it's a Baltimore investment situation.
Chelsea, to your point, I think there is a second part of the question, which is how badly does Major League Baseball want them to sell? And is that part of the reason why everyone around baseball thinks they're going to, is because, and I'm not trying to make a comparison to Dan Snyder, because clearly Dan Snyder is, I think at this point we can all say, fairly evil. Is there a world in which the reason the belief is there is because Major League Baseball is so frustrated with everything? Like, every time we talk about, there's somebody brings up the idea that John Angelos is going to move the team to Nashville, I just laugh. Like, the idea that Major League Baseball is going to reward an ownership group that's been a pain in their ass with a new market is just, it's badass insane. But is there a world in which at some point Major League Baseball says, look, we gotta step in here. We gotta, whether we make it public or not, whatever we do, we gotta do something else. It can't just be that we have to keep dealing with this forever.
I think in the list of pain, in Major League Baseball's side, the Orioles may not even be at the top of that list. And okay. I know that's hard to believe, but they deal with a lot of crazy ownership groups. The Reds guys can't stop saying ridiculous things. The A's are just kind of a debacle. So, the idea of Major League Baseball saying enough is enough with the Orioles, maybe just because they've been so kind of determined to hold up the Masson situation. But I mean, that's their right legally. It's not like
Right.
they're doing anything super crazy. So, I don't know. If there's somebody they want to own that team, then maybe. And I don't know if that's the case. But, I think, Major League Baseball is in a tough spot because they've just watched the Nats go on the market, not sell. Nothing looks imminent there. They watched the Angels go on the market and come off of it months later. Presumably, they say they had offers, but there's a reason that team didn't sell. And, they need these teams somebody to sell for a big number and sort of say, no, this is a healthy business. This is something you want to be involved in. And, I don't know where that's going to come from right now. So
That's fair.
I think the Orioles would be their best chance at that. And so maybe they do make a push.
I guess I should follow up because I heard your laugh when I brought it up. You too, dismiss all of this nonsense about the idea the Orioles could end up moving.
I think so. I just think at this moment, it feels, all the talk of expansion even feels premature to me. I mean, I think they've really got to, and Manfred has said this, they've got to figure out Oakland, they've got to figure out Tampa before they can figure out what else to do. And neither of those things seems imminent either. So, these things take forever. And, there's a whole group setting things up in Nashville to kind of bid on an expansion team led by Dave Stewart. They've got a lot of people involved there. And it's just kind of, it seems like something that makes sense on paper. And then when you kind of get into the logistics of what that would look like, it just no longer makes sense. And
right.
Not to mention, I think Camden Yards is one of their treasured parks. And, the team on the field is just in a really good spot. So, yeah, it's hard to envision it happening soon. But, who knows? I mean, the lease is a very important thing to have. And if they don't have one at the end of this year, I don't know what happens. But I don't think they'll get there.
I just think when you have $600 million in public money on the table and you have the situations, to your point, that you have in Tampa and Oakland right now, like imagine approving a scenario walking away from $600 million in free money.
Right.
It's insane.
Right.
Like,
right. Or imagine doing it. It's hard to imagine Johnny Angelos doing it.
Yep.
So, yeah.
I completely get it. Chelsea, from a baseball perspective, there's a reason why there's a lot of optimism here. And, clearly we don't think the Orioles are quite ready to, win a World Series. But if the answer is that in the next year or two there will be money spent, not even saying, Dodgers money, Yankees money, that's never going to be the case, but enough money, is there a path to this core, this nucleus, becoming a group that could compete to win a World Series in the next 3 to 5 years?
I think so. I don't. One of the things that they have going for them, but also against them, is that they play in a ridiculous division, and they're going to be helped by that because those guys that have come up and played for all the bad years and sort of come together, they've done it against really good teams. I mean, that's the season they put together last year with a roster that was still kind of supposed to be learning on the job was really impressive because a lot of those games came against some of the most freestanding teams in baseball. I mean, it was no joke. So they know what they're in for when the young players come up in Baltimore. But then also the flip side of that is they're in a really tough division. And so, you're probably not going to win it for a few years. You just, it's, the wild card situation is kind of, hectic and frenetic. It's hard to predict. So I don't know. I think they're in a good place. And I think they don't necessarily need to spend either to get there. I mean, this team is not going to be made a champion by whether they spend or not in the next 5 years. It's whether all these prospects pan out. And, if Rutschman is any indication, they're in good shape. So, yeah, I think there's reason to expect that they'll have a good year. I think it's super fair for them to say we want to make the playoffs.
Right.
I wouldn't take the over on 90 wins yet, but I think that's still okay.
But I got to tell you, the number it's almost insane to me. The number is like 74.5 wins that Vegas put out. And I'm like, I get it. I can understand that there's a world in which maybe you're still reluctant to buy into what they did a year ago, but an 8-game step back when you got a full season of Adley Rutschman and a full season of Gunnar Henderson and the schedules being balanced this year, and you, to your point, not having to face those AL East teams as many games as he did a year ago.
Right.
That part to me was kind of crazy. I'm like, I don't know, man. I could see them stepping a game or two back and something goes wrong, but stepping 8 games back, I don't know about that.
Well, it's true, and it's not like everybody had career years. I mean, Mountcastle, his numbers were kind of depressed. Mullins wasn't incredible. it's not like the rotation was all of a sudden dominant 0-60. I mean, the bullpen was incredible, but
Sure.
Other than that, everyone was kind of what you would expect. And so I think there's not really a reason to say it was a fluke last year, but it's interesting. I didn't realize it was that low. That's a pretty low number.
It was weird. It was I can do this because I'm not in the job that you are. I threw a couple dollars on it immediately.
Yeah.
I said I'm gonna bite of that apple. Yeah, it's funny to me you bring that up. It's almost like everybody had a really good month last year. Like nobody had like a great season other than Adley Rutschman. Everybody had a really good month, and yet they figured out a way to finish over 500 the way that it worked. Chelsea, of course, everybody can give you a follow at Chelsea_Janes on Twitter and the Washington Post, WashingtonPost.com. Is there anything else I can plug for you? Everybody seems to have like 100 projects these days. Is there a book that you're working on or a podcast or something that I can plug for you?
No, neither, unfortunately. If I think of one, I'll let you know,
I promise you, when you have one, let us know, and we will make sure that we plug it for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Chelsea, really appreciate you taking the time for us this morning. Thanks so much for doing it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Chelsea Janes, national baseball writer for the Washington Post, with us here on GCR. And look, I thought her piece, and then I'm assuming we posted it up on our Twitter account at Glenn Clark Radio. If not, we'll do that right now. I thought her piece was a very fair look at all the things that we're talking about, which is, yes, there's reason for optimism. There's reason for excitement. There's reason to feel good about where the Orioles are. But there's all this other stuff. And, yeah, it's, as we talked about, I think it's a good thing that there's no lawsuit any longer. But that doesn't answer all of the questions. I think the loudest at the moment is the question about, in the next 12 months, will there be an addition to payroll, either via a trade? I don't think a rental is not the right call, but a trade for a player, significant trade, has a couple years, that would require you to add money to your payroll, or via free agency next offseason. That's the next step. And most of us wanted it to happen this year, and it didn't. And I would have preferred it, but I can live with that, given the context of everything that's going on, if that money's coming, if there's going to be a next step. But there's got to be a next step. And that's the part that I just can't have confidence in yet. I hope, but I'm not certain of it. That's to be determined, man. We will find out over the course of next year. Appreciate Chelsea Janes taking the time for us. All right, when we come back in, we will make some picks for the Super Bowl. We're going to pick the game, but that's kind of irrelevant. We're going to have some fun with some prop bets, and we're going to dive through some of the ones that Griffin pulled out that we'll include for a little contest that we're going to do. That's all coming up. Hour number 2 of today's program, also brought to you by the print issue of Press Box. Speaking of the Orioles, Adley Rutschman's on the cover. There you see him, our Mo Gabba Sports Person of the Year. Go pick it up for free. You only have 1 week left to get it before it is gone. Daddy gone. The love is gone. Go get it at your neighborhood Royal Farms and at the hundreds of locations around town where you find Press Box. Glenn Clark Radio.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
There's something for everyone this February at Laurel Park. Come watch live horse racing every Friday through Sunday and join us on Saturday, February 18th for the Winter Stakes Spectacular, featuring 6 stakes races and $900,000 in purses, including the General George and Barbara Fritchie steaks.
The fun doesn't stop there. Stick around for our winter Mardi Gras celebration with live music, delicious food and drinks, and a carnival atmosphere. Plus, don't miss out on President's Day holiday racing on Monday, February 20th. Visit laurelpark.com for more info. That's laurelpark.com for more. See you at the track.
Another Orioles season is in the books, and the Bat-Around was there every step of the way as the Birds posted their first winning season in 6 years. And after promoting 2 #1 overall prospects in Adley Rutschman and Gunnar Henderson, Mike Elias has said it's liftoff from here. Hi, I'm Paul Valley, and along with my co-host Zach Goodman, we'll be here every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon all off season, discussing every signing, trade, and waiver claim as we navigate the cold winter months that lead to spring training. You can watch us at youtube.com/PressBoxOnline and Facebook.com/PressBoxSports, or listen live at PressBoxOnline.com/radio. And if you miss a show, you can find us anywhere you get your podcasts. So tune into the Bat-Around with Paul Valley and Zach Goodman every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon right here at PressBox Sports.
Stan the Fan here, welcoming back one of my favorite sponsors, the Costas Inn. And everybody around Baltimore knows the Costas Inn is a great place to go and grab crabs, steaks, salads, soups, whatever's on your mind to eat in person. But did you know that the Costas Inn has upped their game? They are now one of the premier takeout places in Baltimore. Give them a call now to order your food, 410-477-1975. That's the Costas Inn over 4100 North Point Boulevard.
If you need more of Glenn, you can also hear him every Sunday with Rita on 105.7 The Fan. But also, if you need more of Glenn, what's wrong with you?
By the way, those of you that just want to do this, Brandon, yes, he can go to Phoenix, but it takes away from his legacy because he's picking one of the best teams to be on. It's just too easy. That's for anyone. Brandon, if you want to just hit copy and paste and just have the same blanket take for every player that's ever existed, you may do that. You've decided you don't like Kevin Durant, and that's fine. You're allowed to not like Kevin Durant. Nobody can hold it against you. It's just that you have to know you are trying to create a standard that you don't hold anyone else to. Everyone else is allowed to go to good teams, and everyone else does go to good teams, except for, as we pointed out, Bradley Beal. Poor sap. And Damian Lillard at this point, although I think most of us still believe that those guys are at some point going to decide they've had enough and try to get to a good team.
List really ends there, though. When you really think about it.
I mean, the couple of guys in Boston haven't gone anywhere yet, right? But they were
right now.
Right, correct. And they were put in that spot together. That were to go south at some point in the future, if Jaylen Brown, I know he just got hurt, but if Jaylen Brown were to be out at some point, then Jason Tatum would probably decide, like, I don't want to be here any longer. You hold Kevin Durant to a standard that you don't hold everyone else to, because you've decided in your mind that the Golden State thing was the worst of them all. Everyone else goes to good teams or creates good teams, including LeBron James, which is not a knock on LeBron James. He's allowed to. What did LeBron James make sure that he did when he got to L.A.? Get other good players. They win a title before Anthony Davis showed up?
No.
You know the answer. You know damn well. So you can be mad at me because you want to hate Kevin Durant. You got something in your heart. That's fine. I don't care. Genuinely don't care. I'm just going to call you out on your nonsense. You're holding Kevin Durant to a standard that you have held no one else to because you're bothered specifically, for whatever reason, by him going to Golden State. Everyone else has done the exact same thing.
Again, it is different. It's not the exact same thing.
No, you've created a thing because specifically it was the team that they got eliminated by.
LeBron brings in different players to join him. Yeah, exactly. It's the team that beats him. That's why it's...
So it's okay if you get there first and then force other players to join you?
He's not forcing anybody to do anything.
But you think that LeBron James wasn't pulling the strings in L.A. to get Anthony Davis there?
Yeah, he's not forcing Anthony Davis to play in L.A.
I understand that he's not forcing the player to get there. He's forcing the team to go out and get other good players because he's not going to suffer there being the only good player on the roster.
Yeah, not that Anthony Davis is really...
Now, but Anthony Davis, when they were in the bubble, was a big part of why it was they won a title, whether you want to count, again, because we don't count things that happen for whatever reason. This is a bad bit that we do. It's a dumb bit. That's about our own insecurities. That's about our own wanting to have someone to hate. Everyone else is allowed to go be on other good teams and be with other good players, except for Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's not allowed to. He's got to suffer. Otherwise, it doesn't count. It's just dumb. And everyone that regurgitates it is regurgitating a dumb take. Maybe you're not a dumb person, but you're regurgitating a dumb take. All right. We're going to make Super Bowl picks, despite the fact that this is very much an exhibition at this point. Joining us now, he is our friend Ken Zalis. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Good morning. Can I talk to Griff for a second?
By all means.
Where did Kevin Durant just get traded to?
The Phoenix Suns.
Okay, I'm out of this conversation.
But, this is where you're trying to do a dumb bit because you don't realize that I've had this exact same conversation with Kyle for 5 years, and I wasn't even a Kevin Durant fan then. Like, I don't care.
No, it's not a Kevin Durant thing for me. It's a Phoenix thing for me.
No, you think that I'm only saying this because I like Kevin Durant now, but I've been saying this about Kevin Durant for 5 years. Like, it's dumb.
No, I think you're only saying this because he went to your team.
No, you're way off on this. Go call Kyle. Call Kyle and ask him how many mornings I spent screaming at him about how stupid this take is. Like, it's the dumbest take
I don't
ever.
See, here's the thing. I don't have this take because I don't care. Because they did. You're right. In this era of basketball that we're in now,
this is what we do.
This happens all the time.
This is all we do.
It started with the Boston Celtics.
Correct.
And they won, so everybody's copycatted, and it's constant. We don't get the and this is an example because he never really won, but we don't get the Charles Barkley, who spent most of his years with the Sixers, didn't win, and finally went to the Suns and won a championship. We don't get guys.
No, he didn't win a championship. It would have been better if he did. He never won a championship.
You know what? Right. But to chase a championship, I said that wrong.
Yeah.
You don't get those guys that stay like that anymore, and that's okay. Everybody's just got to accept it.
It's fine.
I mean, Kevin Durant's one of the 5 best basketball players
and as I
in
pointed
the world
out,
right
I
now.
do think it's cool when, like, Dirk winning the title in Dallas is awesome, and if you want to hold that up as being something more valuable, that's fine. But pretending like this dude did, like, and he does it, it's just too easy. That's for anyone, and constantly doing it in this case. Like, literally, it's not the exact same thing that LeBron James does whenever he goes to a different team. Literally the exact same thing.
It is different because it's a team that it's not the team that beat LeBron.
No, instead LeBron goes and builds his own super team.
Sure.
That's not different.
Every single team does that.
And before LeBron leaves, let's be fair. Before LeBron leaves, at least they win a championship.
That's fine. Well, I mean, Kevin Durant did win championships in Golden State. He didn't win in Brooklyn.
In Golden State.
That. Yes, but he did win in Golden State.
The Brooklyn thing just didn't work.
I understand. He did not work. Seriously did not work.
Did not work.
Golden State won him championships.
No, you're doing this is where you're just coming off like an idiot. It's like, this is a bad bit. All right, let's get to this. So, are you in for the side bet or not?
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't even know what it is, but sure.
Did you not read the email?
Griffin
did a really poor job.
He
did a really poor job. I read the email. It was not a very well crafted email.
I saw the email. I was like, okay, I'm giving my Super Bowl pick, and I gave a Super Bowl pick.
Okay. Well, we need you to do more than that. We're doing a bunch of prop bets.
Okay.
And our side bet for the week is that the loser has to recreate the Tom Brady thirst trap photo and let us post it on our Twitter account for 24 hours.
Nobody wants to see that. But
I know no one wants to see it. I assure you. Although I'm already in the Boys of Hamden calendar, so everybody's already seen all of me.
Yeah, I was like, your picture's already done.
Yeah, that's
so,
a fact. That's a fact. All right, so Ken's in, Griffin's in, I'm in, Charles is in, Paul Valley's in.
John Proctor is in.
John Proctor is in. Andrew Stetka?
Andrew Stetka said. Hey, first thing he said, he was like, I don't know what this even is. So I sent him the tweet, and he hasn't said anything since.
What the hell's wrong with him?
I mean, it's just a picture.
Yeah, right. We talked about it yesterday. What the hell's going on with him? And we haven't heard back from Kyle about it.
Oh, Kyle's out. I tried talking him into it.
What a pathetic loser. All right.
He said I didn't make these picks.
I'm guessing there's a picture of Kyle like this already.
100%, man. What are we even doing?
He said I didn't make these picks with the I just won't lose philosophy.
Oh, get the entire F out of here. All right, whatever. Let's do it. Let's make our Super Bowl picks. Picks are brought to you this week by PressBoxOnline.com/offers. If you're feeling good about something for Sunday night, whatever it might be, you should get the PressBoxOnline.com/offers and get your bets in, pick from those hundreds of fun prop bets, thousands of dollars, and special sign-up offers with the top sports books are available at PressBoxOnline.com/offers. Go to PressBoxOnline.com/offers. Right now, join the fun with great offers from FanDuel, BetMGM, Barstool, and more. All right, so let's do the game last. Let's build up to the game. Let's knock out prop bets to start. You got to keep track of all this.
Okay.
All right.
All right. We'll start with the most important one.
Mm-hmm.
The coin toss.
Are
we going heads or tails?
With the actual result or what's called?
What's
the actual result?
Yeah, what the coin lands on.
I mean, tails. Like you have to. It's not heads never fails, Griffin. You have to do tails, 100%. Ken?
I'm going heads here.
What the hell's wrong with you?
Everybody likes to say this tails never fails thing, but in reality,
no, it's a proven fact. Tails is literally never. Every time everyone has ever flipped a coin in the history of humanity, it's landed on tails. Everyone knows that.
There was the guy on the internet that flipped 1,000 times and 55% came up heads. So I'll go with him.
All right.
Siri, flip a coin.
That's what you're doing?
Oh, it's heads.
All right, there you go. Griffin's going heads. Charles?
I thought tails never fails as well. This seems like it's going to be a very fun, loose game, so gotta go tails.
Yeah, I don't want to go down picking against tails never fails. Imagine if that's how you. If I lose picking against heads, like I mean, fine, I can live with that. But if I lose that way, I'll never forgive myself.
All right, it's pretty actually not too split. It's me, Ken, and Kyle on heads.
All
and
right.
Stecca.
Ooh.
Okay, so it is pretty.
I've bad news.
Well, this is different.
I have terrible news for you. Yeah, but it's a curse, bro. As soon as Stecca says it, it's a curse.
So Glenn, Charles, Paul, and John Proctor on
all right,
tails.
next.
Next is the national anthem, sung by Chris Stapleton. Over under 2 minutes and 2 seconds.
Who Charles had never heard of until you sent the email this morning. He's very talented. He's go watch him and Stevie Wonder doing Higher Ground from the Grammys on Sunday night. It's excellent. I have no idea, but I feel like Chris Stapleton is more of a no-nonsense performer. Like as good as he is and as much as he can draw out a note, I feel like he's not up there to mess around. I feel like he's up there to do a job. So give me the under on 2 minutes and 2 seconds for Chris Stapleton.
Yeah, I'm going to go over. I agree with you, but he's got to show off his voice a little bit.
I know he's got the pipes. I get it.
Like certain people in your studio have never heard of him, which I just find absolutely unacceptable and probably should get you a lifetime ban from the show. But I mean, come on. I mean,
he's amazing. He's amazing.
I mean,
he's coming to Baltimore this summer, by the way. I think tickets went on sale today, if I remember correctly, to go see Chris Stapleton at the new arena.
But I think he could draw out a couple of notes and come in at 205.
All right,
I'll go over.
It's a very high line to be set. I think most of the lines are usually under two.
I feel like
158
has been about the number. Yeah,
they're like about 110 seconds. I think they said is the average. And so I'm with you, Glenn. I think it goes under as well. I don't think he messes around too much, and even if he does, I think he might get
still lands the plane.
Yeah.
All right, Charles.
So I've spent the last 10 minutes doing my Chris Stapleton research on
Twitter. Good
memes going around. His performance with Stevie Wonder was between all the videos are showing between 150 and 205, and this is the national anthem, so I'm gonna go over. He's gonna bring it out a little bit.
I think that you would actually go longer on a performance with Stevie Wonder because you're up there with Stevie Wonder. You're not gonna get that opportunity again in your life. You're gonna probably be able to sing the national anthem again at some point if you so choose.
For the Super Bowl, like we talked about earlier, all those flashing lights.
All right.
Glenn, myself, Paul, and John on the under.
Okay.
And then Kyle, Stetka, Ken, and Charles.
All right. Very good.
Next up, getting into the game now. Finally, will Travis Kelce score?
Travis Kelce, we know.
Score Kelce.
Yes, I don't think I need to say anything else. Yes. Ken, you're next.
I didn't even finish the question, but I guess it was Kelsey.
Will
touchdown,
Travis Kelce
right?
score a touchdown? Yes.
Yes.
All right, very good. Griffin, what's your pick? Yes or no? What's your pick? Yes or no? Yeah, thumbs up or thumbs down? Give me a pick. Yes, Griffin's picking yes. Jesus. Charles.
It's a yes for me as well. Who else is going to score for them?
My God. Like,
Pat Mahomes can't run every
what are the
touchdown.
odds for this? Like, what in the world would the odds be for Travis Kelce?
Is this the game Juju has 4 touchdowns?
Right,
Super
it's the
Bowl
most
MVP?
yeah, right.
It's
the
his
most
Desmond Howard
random
game
thing ever. I can't even imagine what a Travis Kelce anytime touchdown scorer would be at this point because Jesus Christ, I don't think there is anyone else to score a touchdown. All right, Griffin's dealing with something producing the show at the moment, so we'll just go ahead and move forward, and then he can catch us up. The next question is, will there be a defensive or special teams touchdown? Which I like. I like that as a question. I'm going to go with no. No, I'm just going to play the odds on that one. No defensive or special teams touchdown.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. It's tough to predict that, so I'll go no.
All right. What else did everybody do for Travis Kelce, Griffin? What was everybody else's pick?
Let's see. I had Kelce. You had Kelce.
Yes, all of us did.
Yeah, everyone,
what did everybody else do?
Everyone had Kelce.
Clean sweep. Thank
Everyone,
you.
yeah.
Thank you. Very good. Now, defensive special teams touchdown. Both KZ and I are on no. What do you have?
I have no as well.
All right. Charles, that would bring us to you.
Like I said earlier, I think the game's going to be very fun and loose. Patrick Mahomes could still give up a turnover for a touchdown, and they could still win the game. I guess that kind of gives away my pick for the game, but yeah, that's kind of how I see it. So I think, yeah, there'll be a defensive or special
Yes,
teams
is your answer. All right, very good.
I was trying to see if I was trying to give an easy one so everyone could get on the board, and because I'm pretty confident there won't be. Of course, there could be. See if anybody will bite. So Charles bit, and so did Paul Valley.
Paul Valley also bites on a defense touchdown. Yeah. Look, man, there have been a lot of them in the Super Bowls over the years. We're making our Super Bowl picks right now here on GCR. Next,
Patrick Mahomes. His passing number is set at 292.5. Over under.
Over. I mean, look, the only thing that could screw this up is it being like the Super Bowl in Tampa when he was on the ground the entire game, right? Like, otherwise, yes, Patrick Mahomes is going to throw for over 2.5 yards.
No, he will not,
Oh.
because he will not finish the football game.
Oh.
Because that front four is unlike anything they've faced, and he will not finish the football game, and he will have under that number.
Interesting. I'm taking the over as well. I feel like they're going to have to. The Chiefs are going to be throwing a lot, and is how I see this one going. So I see him getting to close to 300 and going over 292.
All right.
I'm going to go on a run of overs, so I'm going over on
Over as well.
So on the under is Ken, John Proctor, Paul Valley, and Andrew Stecca.
Life's too short to bet the under. And Andrew Stecca's on your side, so I'm so sorry. Next,
Jalen Hurts. His combined passing and rushing yards is at a similar number. It's 291.5 for combined.
Passing and rushing yards. I have not even bothered to do any research on this. I'm just going to go ahead and say, again, life's too short to bet the under. Give me the over on that as well.
Yeah, getting those 50 to 60 rushing yards, I'll go over as well.
Griffin?
I'm going to take the under on this.
By the way, I didn't see this. I got a great text from Kyle Ottenheimer. When we were debating about Kevin Durant, he said, Griffin's making a lot of sense.
Thanks, Kyle.
Not bad. Love you, buddy.
And to win, I think the Eagles are going to have to run the ball a lot and control the football. And so I don't. And Jalen Hurts has that shoulder thing, so I don't really trust the whole passing part of it. He could still run for 100 yards and not hit 200 passing yards. So I'm taking under. I'm taking the under.
All right, very good. Next, Charles. Jalen Hurts.
I'm taking the over as well. Trying to look at his stats right now, but I'm comfortable he'll rush and pass for.
All right.
Next up, distance.
What did everybody else do? Yes.
I have the under. Paul has the under. Paul and I are the only ones on the under.
Ooh, all right. Yeah. All right.
Distance of the longest made field goal in the Super Bowl. Over under 46.5.
I really struggled.
yards.
I really struggled with this one. I actually don't think the Eagles will have a field goal over 46.5 yards, but I do think there's a chance. Just because the Chiefs are limited a little bit with what they have offensively, that at some point they could get bogged down around the 35-yard line, be faced with something that's long enough that they don't want to go for it, 4th and 6, something like that. I'm going to say over. Over. The Chiefs will have a field goal over 46.5 yards.
I think both teams do, so I'm going over. You get bogged down at the 30-yard line, you got a 47-yard field goal.
That's true.
Two kickers with big legs. So I think over, and I think multiple overs.
I disagree. I think both too aggressive, Sirianni aggressive coach, and then the Chiefs an aggressive offense. I think when they get in that kind of no man's land, they're going to want to go for it and not try to long field goal. So I'm going to take under.
All right. I mean, I agree with the Eagles. I agree that the Eagles are not going to have. I just think the Chiefs will. That's all. Go ahead.
Over. Jake Elliott, Harrison Butker in Phoenix kind of sets up for them to kind of show their leg a little bit, possibly to win the game. So
okay.
One person with me on the under, Andrew Steck.
Oh, no. All right.
To the point total in the game, it is set at 50.5. Over under 50.5 total points.
Over under 50.5 total points. I don't know. I'm really glad that between this and the actual game itself, I am so glad that I've already clinched going into this week because I have no idea. 50.5 total points. I will go. Hell, I'll just write it out. Life's too short to bet the under. Give me the over. What are we doing here? Give me all the overs. Nothing but overs.
I'm going over as well. I don't think this is under in any way. I think this is an easy number.
I'm going to take over as well. I think it should be an entertaining game. It should go back and forth, and I see at least 51 points being scored in this one.
Again, the wild card being what Ken brought. It's so funny that Ken brought up the scenario where Patrick Mahomes is getting knocked out of the game and yet still has the game going over. Like, that to me is the wild card because if he's impacted, then I don't know that it does get to the over. But
the way I thought about it was 27-23 gives me 50, and 28-24 gives me 52. Both those teams can score probably more than that, so go the over on that as well.
We have two people on the under. It is John Proctor and Kyle.
Oh, no, that means that we have Andrew Steck. Oh, son of a bitch.
I don't understand Kyle's thinking here because he took the over on all the other props.
And then all of a sudden
the
under.
yards and
like everybody's going to throw for 300 yards, but there's not going to be that many points scored in the game. That is weird. That it does seem inconsistent. You're not wrong.
Finally, the game. 6:30 on Fox, the Super Bowl. Philly is favored by 1.5 points.
Again, I'm so glad that this does not matter, right? Because I have no idea. I say it doesn't matter. I could end up in my underpants next week. But it doesn't matter for the competition. My rule typically would be if you think there's a good team that's getting points, you take the team that's getting points. But it's only 1.5 points, right? So, I genuinely think Philadelphia is the better team. Like, they are. Look, from top to bottom, they're the better football team. But the best player on the field, of course, belongs to the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't know what I would do if this was the pick that was determining things. I feel like I would say I'm not going to go down picking against Patrick Mahomes, is what I would say, if this was determining. But because it's not, I actually think I'm going to pick the Eagles here because in my heart of hearts, I think they're the better team. So Eagles is the pick.
I placed all my Super Bowl bets 10 days ago. And I put a bunch of money on the Philadelphia Eagles.
Ooh.
I think this is 37. I think this is 37-20. I don't think it's close. I think you get to the over because you get an excuse me touchdown at the end. I think Philadelphia, far and away, has been the best team in football all year long. They're healthy. The shoulder isn't an issue anymore for Hurts, but the ankle still is for Mahomes. And I don't see it being close. I really don't.
All right. I'm not as bullish as you are, but I get it.
Yeah, I'm not as bullish either, but I do think the Eagles are the better team. Stan and I we're partnering up in that little lose ball thing, and we need the Eagles to win. We can win this whole thing.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah, so I'm doubling down.
How much will that get you?
Good question. I split with Stan.
All right, very good.
He knows.
Okay. All right. Charles?
I picked Kansas City. I had a hard time going on the over for Jalen Hurts with the passing and rushing yards, and it didn't feel as hard for me to pick Mahomes doing the same number, even though there's not rushing yards. And at the end of the day, it's Andy Reid. This is his former team. I'm gonna trust Andy Reid against the new coach.
All
right. So Charles is on the Chiefs. John Proctor gives his final score. He has Eagles 22, Chiefs 17.
It's very, very low score. He doesn't even coming close to the number.
And Charles, you do have one person on your side. It is Andrew Stanka.
Oh no! Wait, Kyle. Wait a second. Kyle picked against Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, Kyle has the Eagles.
Well, that is a first.
Wow.
That is 100% a first. Again, that one not really relevant because everything for the season has been determined to this point. Andrew Stanka. Although I guess there's still placement to be fought for. John's a game up on Kyle's or on Ken. So, well, now that's locked in, right? Because they both picked the game the same way. So that's locked. Griffin and Kyle were tied, so you're going to finish tied because you guys both picked the game the same way. So all of that's now been determined. Nothing in the standings is still up for grabs, but our side bet, who's going to have to get in their draws for a Tom Brady-style photo, will be determined this week.
I'm not feeling comfortable about my pick.
All of a sudden, you're very nervous about it. Charles is about to let us know that.
I tried to give the sports take on my game pick, but if I'm being honest, I'm not feeling anything Philly related these days. So I'm just it's biased.
Once he heard Stecca was on his side.
Yeah, right. It's not great. Not great. Charles is about to give me the old, hey, I don't think that the school wants me to do this. Like, I think all of a sudden in the next 24 hours, I'm going to get that message from Charles like, dude, I know I said I would do it, but I think I'm going to get in trouble. I can't do the side bet. Like, I just feel that coming at some point in the next day. All right, @FansFantasy on Twitter is how you follow him. We will talk between now and the NFL draft for sure. I appreciate you, pal. Thanks for hopping on all season long. All right.
By the way, can I give a prop bet? Everybody should do.
Please.
Over 2.5 players throwing a pass in the Super Bowl.
Ooh, I do like that. Ooh, that is.
I found this one. This is my favorite prop bet of the Super Bowl.
I mean, because that could be anybody. It could be a quarterback going out for a play. Oh man, I love that. All right, I'm putting some money on that. I'm with you on it. Yeah, that's good. All right, buddy. We will talk to you soon. Thank you for hopping on.
Talk to you guys. Bye-bye.
Ken Zalis with us here on GCR for our picks. Charles, if you could do me a favor, can you move your stuff and walk out that door and let the folks out there know that we're ready for them? Could you do that for me? Thank you very much. We have the Baltimore County Police Department. Also, make sure you hide that stuff you got over in the corner. Make sure you. I'm kidding. Of course, Charles wouldn't do that. He wouldn't do that. He's a respected student athlete. He does not into those types of things. The Baltimore County Police Department has stopped by this morning. We're going to invite them in to come in and hang out with us. When we come back in, also, we are going to try to go to Kansas City or, I guess, Arizona maybe. I don't know where he is. Before the show is over. We got a lot to do before we get out of here for the day. It is a Thursday edition of Glenn Clark Radio.
The Baltimore County Police Department is hiring. Entry-level officers start at over $60,000 and over $64,000 for lateral officers, with $10,000 signing bonuses available. Plus, cadets start at over $32,000. Great benefits are available like medical, dental, and vision insurance, tuition reimbursement, 15 sick days per calendar year with no limit, career advancement to more than 20 specialized units, and more, with further incentives for military service members and veterans. A passion for service, a career for life with the Baltimore County Police Department. Find out more at joinbaltimorecountypd.com or call 410-887-5542. Must be a United States citizen, have a valid driver's license, and a high school diploma or GED equivalent.
The latest edition of Press Box is available now, and it's our annual Best Of issue. On the cover, we recognize Orioles catcher Adley Rutschman as our 2022 Mo Gabba Sports Person of the Year, and he sits down with us to discuss how his arrival in Baltimore was simultaneous with the Birds' turnaround. Also inside, we recognize the top people, performances, and moments of the year throughout the local sports scene. Press Box is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can always find the entire edition as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
There's something for everyone this February at Laurel Park. Come watch live horse racing every Friday through Sunday and join us on Saturday, February 18th for the Winter Stakes Spectacular featuring 6 stakes races and $900,000 in purses, including the General George and Barbara Fritchie Stakes. The fun doesn't stop there. Stick around for our Winter Mardi Gras celebration with live music, delicious food and drinks, and a carnival atmosphere. Plus, don't miss out on President's Day holiday racing on Monday, February 20th.
Visit laurelpark.com for more info. That's laurelpark.com for more. See you at the track.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Stan the Fan here, welcoming back one of my favorite sponsors, the Costas Inn. And everybody around Baltimore knows the Costas Inn is a great place to go and grab crabs, steaks, salads, soups, whatever's on your mind to eat in person. But did you know that the Costas Inn has upped their game? They are now one of the premier takeout places in Baltimore. Give them a call now to order your food, 410-477-1975. That's the Costas Inn over 4100 North Point Boulevard.
Check out PressBoxOnline.com every day to find daily winners and betting advice from Jeremy Kahn. And if you want some advice about life decisions that you probably shouldn't make, here's Glenn Clark.
Back in here on GCR as we continue along on a Thursday edition of the program. This man has put me through hell. And yet, I still like the guy, believe it or not, and I'm still happy to see him every time he comes in. He's Corporal Robbie Wright from the Baltimore County Police Department. He brought backup today, too, by the way. Do you want to introduce everybody that's here, or you know?
Sure. So
all right, let me slide the mic a little bit closer to you. We'll get you right on top of the mic.
So beside me, I have Sergeant Chad Henry.
Of course, Sergeant. Great to see you again.
Thank you.
Sergeant's been here before. Were you here the morning I was hammered?
I was not here.
Okay, good. I feel like Corporal was, and we haven't addressed my behavior from that day, and at some point I probably need to. That might have disqualified me. After I qualified myself for becoming a cop.
Oh, I haven't forgotten.
Okay, all right, we'll address that another
we can talk about it
time. Are there sanctions coming or something like that? I don't know what the.
We'll talk.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough.
But also with us, we have two of our interns here today.
Again, I apologize. Got to get you right on top of the microphone, Corporal. Yep.
So we have two of our interns with us today. We have Amelia Graff from Century High School, and we have Kayla Pomales from Loyola University. So
let's go Hounds.
Part of the Baltimore County Police Department, we do offer general internships for anybody interested. The qualifications usually are junior to senior college. Have to maintain a certain GPA, and they apply online, and we accept them. We offer internship positions throughout the agency as well.
And you were telling me it's not even like Amelia was very clear. The moment I said, "You guys want to become cops?" She was like, "Yeah, right." But it's not just for someone who's looking to become an officer. It's an internship that you could use just to learn some different skills and use towards whatever professional goals you have.
Correct. So a lot of people put in for it, and they'll tell us up front, hey, they are not interested in being police officers, but they just want to get the experience. They want to see how a police agency works. So anyone that's interested at all, they can put in for it.
Charles, our intern out there, he wanted to do this, and then he was around me for like 24 hours, and he was like, I think I'm going to choose a different path in life. Like, I think I don't want to end up being like you. I love Charles. He's a great dude. That's cool. Very cool.
Well,
all right.
Oftentimes, too, we get students that come in that don't really know if they really want to pursue law enforcement, and then our hope is by the end of the experience and the internship that they stay with us. And that they
Kayla, how's that working? They selling you on that yet? Or yeah, okay, all right. So that might be Sergeant. You might be having a little success there. That might be.
That's our hope.
Corporal, let's take a step back, right? We've been partnered up for a little while, and I, of course, qualified. I believe you said it was the greatest performance in the history of the test.
It was up there. Yeah.
You said it was the single most remarkable athletic accomplishment that you ever. Was that the direct quote? I can never remember right off the top of my head. But it was like that.
It was up there. I would say that. Yeah, it was up there.
Paraphrasing. Yeah. You guys are still hiring though, but somehow, some way. Despite the fact that I proved that anyone could do it. If I can do this, you can do this. I promise you. If I can pass this test, you can pass this test. And despite that, you guys still have a few more positions that you're looking to fill.
So we're always looking to fill our positions. So as I said before, our hiring process never closes. So we don't have you got to apply by this date sort of thing. It's always open. So today, tomorrow, 5 months from now, you can always put in an application. And I'm glad you brought up the agility. So one thing we're starting to do for our agility testing, we're actually starting to hold open agility sessions. What I mean by that is you don't have to pre-register for the agility.
You just show up.
You can just show up. So what you can do is you can go to our website, joinbaltimorecountypd.com. You can look at our social media pages, and you can just find our upcoming dates.
Okay.
Our next agility testing is actually February 14th. It's going to be at 8:30 a.m. at the Northeast Regional Recreation Center in Parkville. That's going to be the next one. If you're in the process, not in the process, you just want to take it as a practice, you don't have to pre-register. Just show up. We'll have the waivers there for you to sign. We'll be able to sign you up that day, and you can come and take the test.
Man, that's awesome. Like, that makes life a lot easier, right?
Yeah, and that's the purpose, right? One thing I've said about our process before is that we want to make it applicant friendly in a sense. We want to have ways for people to be part of the process without it being such an inconvenience, because we understand, look, between the written, agility, the background investigation, everything,
no doubt,
part of it, it takes a lot out of people's lives. So this is one way for us to, one, make it easier for people to come and take it, but also, as we talked about before, people taking the agility, if you want to check it out, if you want to take a practice, if you want to see what it's like and actually experience it, it's an opportunity for people to come out and do that.
It's a great point, right? Like, and we saw that day. There were people that were very clearly, they weren't going to pass it that day, but it was an opportunity for them to get a feel for what it is they had to do, and so that they could come back the next time and be more prepared for. Unlike some of us that are obviously well-trained, well-conditioned athletes in the peak of our athletic ability, right? Then not everybody is, and I understand that, right? Like, I was one of you once upon a time. Now, of course, I'm an Adonis, so I really laying it on. Again, the date for the next test is...
It's going to be February 14th, so
Yep.
that's going to be next Tuesday.
Yep.
That's going to be at the Northeast Regional Recreation Center, or NERC as some people know it. It's going to be in Parkville. So we're just asking people that, be there before 8:30, because 8:30 is going to be the hard start time for it. And like I said before, you don't have to be pre-registered, even if you're like Monday morning.
And it doesn't
I'm not
take
sure.
a long time. Like, you could still go to work afterwards.
Correct. You might have to allot some
Right,
time
yes,
for
you're-
it, because
you're not gonna be there by 9, obviously.
Correct. But it's, like I said before, it's just a way for people just to know that, because we feel like we have lost people to where, I wanted to take it on this day, but I'm too late to sign up. It's like, no, just come on out.
Show up
come on out, and we'll get you registered. And speaking of agility testing and chances for people to get involved for our agency, February 25th.
I was literally about to. I was gonna go there. I was gonna let Sergeant Henry have that one.
I didn't mean to jump the list.
It's actually. I think it's important, because when we do it again, Corporal Robbie Wright, Sergeant Chad Henry from the Baltimore County Police Department are in studio with us. When we talk about these events, it's not just for people that want to become officers. You and I, Corporal, have talked a lot about the relationship between the community and the police department, and I know it's been a hot-button issue in our country, is continuing to improve that relationship and making sure everybody understands, hey, we want to all be on the same page. We want to work together. We want to do things together. And these events, in addition to being hiring events, tend to be events just for the community to sort of have a touch and an interaction with the police department and come out, support us. And I know this one's a Black History Month event, correct?
It is, correct, yes. So we've, in conjunction with how we normally run our hiring events, we're going to have the standard written testing, the agility testing. We have the specialized units in attendance that we normally have. We're also hoping that this time we have the training staff who may have the ability to bring out some of their newest technology to also give these applicants and anyone that's interested in coming kind of an idea of what the training side of things look like. And the idea is to be able to have all of our resources on hand so that prospective applicants can come out. They can ask questions if they have specific interest in one particular unit, or if it's that we have cadets on hand, if they're cadet aged and they're interested in that. It's really a one-stop shop. It's really there to be able to address the applicants and their concerns, help them with the process. We have background investigators there as well, and we try to get as many of the facets of the hiring process in as we can in one day. And for this month, with it being Black History Month, we do have a keynote speaker planned, and so we're going to have that kind of coordinated throughout the day as well. So we really have a lot of moving parts with this date on the 25th.
It's awesome. Again, February 25th, and that one's at the Public Safety Building, correct?
It is.
That's
at our headquarters.
So the event on the 24th, again, is in Parkville.
14th.
Thank you.
14th, yes.
My God. The 14th. That event is over in Parkville at the Northeast. Remind me the name of the building.
Northeast Regional Recreation
Thank you.
Center.
Northeast Regional Recreation Center. And then the Public Safety Building in Towson for the hiring event on the 25th, which, again, is more of a community event, an opportunity for you to come out, bring the whole family. And I always ask this question because I feel like it bears repeating. Who are you looking for? Who is it that should be becoming a Baltimore County police officer?
So the one thing we always say is that we're looking for people of various talents, various experiences. So you don't have to have prior law enforcement experience.
I feel like the answer really is anyone.
Anyone,
right? Like,
and the one thing that and we've talked about it before. We have so many positions in the Baltimore County Police Department. Of course, everybody starts; they do their 2 years of patrol. But we have so many positions, whether it's information technology, mobile projects, whether it's our mobile crisis unit, recruitment that we work out of, background investigations. We have so many positions and areas of need within our agency that we're not just looking for just one typical type of person with a specific background. We're looking for people from all walks of life, all backgrounds. And I always use this story. The people who are going to do the best job in areas are going to be the people who are from those areas, represent those areas, people who live their lives in those areas.
Yeah.
Those are the people that are going to be the ones who,
you have a passion.
do a great job.
Yeah,
exactly.
You have a passion for the community. You want to do everything you can to serve and protect your community and try to continue to lift the community up. I think it's significant. I think that's a very good point. And the opportunities that are available, Sergeant, like I talk about this a lot. There's a lot of high school kids that get out of high school and go work at like the local pizza shop or something like that and kind of have no direction. This is a great opportunity to try to find some direction in a young person's life.
It is, and really the cadet program is part of that we're really stressing now. The salary's great, the benefits are great. You start earning your accrued retirement time at the time you come on the job. So that's definitely an important aspect of police work in our agency, and certainly having the interns that we have here today and the others that we have throughout the department, really a vital part of what we do. And I wanted to touch on what the word you said, passion, and it's part of, with our new website, our new real slogan for the agency is a passion for service, a career for life, and that's really what it is. It's a passion to serve, and it really does give you that career that you're looking for.
All right, I'm always looking for a good story whenever you guys are here. I'm always hoping that, like, in the course of the last few weeks, you're like, oh, dude, I got a humdinger. You're not going to believe what this guy did when we tried to pull him over. You're not going to believe. Do you have any good, funny stories from the last few weeks since the last time we chatted that you could share with us?
Oh my goodness! Unfortunately in recruitment we don't get too many. Of the
maybe one that you heard from
anymore.
somebody else. Like everybody came back to the office like, dude, wait till you hear about. You know what though? I think, and I don't mean to be so serious, but obviously to the last 24 hours have been very serious to the Baltimore County Police Department, right? Like my kids aren't at school today because of everything that's going on. Can you take me through the importance and what it, going through a day like that? I know there's probably some fear involved for a lot of people, and what going through a day like, the last 24 hours have been like for the entire department, and how it is that maybe you show this is why we need more people. This is in these moments that impact everyone, we need leaders.
Well, without going obviously into too many details, I would say that there are a lot of great people out there right now doing a lot of great work, doing the best they can, and it's working as hard as possible with this incident. But that's the thing we're looking for. We're looking for people who, when these moments come, they're willing to step up. To your point, great leaders, right? People who are willing to, do the things that need to be done to help resolve these sort of situations, to be involved, to be helpful, and just to say, like, this is an agency-wide thing. So we're looking for people who are willing to step up in those moments and just understanding, like, this is the job, this is what it takes. So just, speaking to the audience here today, we're looking for a wide range of people with abilities, and, we need people of all sorts of talents, because it's not just one person, one unit, one section, whatever you want to say, one precinct. This is
everybody.
Everybody's involved. Everybody's got to have
all hands on deck.
All hands on deck. So
right.
Everybody's got their role that they have to play. So I just want people to understand that when we go out looking for officers, when we go out put in an application, don't say to yourself, oh, I'm this, I'm that, I'm too old.
Sure.
I tell people, look, put in an application, watch you have a job in 2 months, and watch you have that career for life that you've been looking for.
It's awesome. And I want to say thank you guys, because I know it can only be a stress. The last 24 hours, I can't even imagine the stress that you guys, your families have felt. And I want to speak on everybody's behalf for our appreciation of that and what you guys are doing, the hard work that you put in a situation like this. It means a lot. All right, one more time, what everybody needs to know. Let's run through. Drop all the hits in a tight little package.
So, Baltimore County Police Department is now hiring. We are going to have our next community hiring event on February 25th. That's going to be 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Public Safety Building, 700 East Joppa Road. For more information, go to our website, www.joinbaltimorecountypd.com. Also, if you want to take the agility test, February 14th, Northeast Regional Recreation Center, 8:30 a.m. Be there. Don't have to pre-register for it.
And you can do it. I promise you can pass the agility test. I promise you. I did, and I didn't even break a sweat. Small sweat, but only a little bit of one.
I was just going to add that we're processing for our March class, which is going to be toward the end of March. So this is a great time to get in, get your application going, and get out to one of our agility tests so we can get you in the process.
That's awesome. Corporal, Sergeant, it's always great to see you. I really appreciate continued partnership. Whatever I can do, let me know when the next time you need me out there to show everybody how it's done. Do you want me to lead the whole test next time? You want me to be, now that I'm the expert, right? Like, I guess I can do that if that's necessary.
Absolutely.
However we can help, let me know that. I always appreciate you guys.
And thank you for having us.
It means the world. Thank you so much. And thank you to your 2 interns as well for coming in and hanging out this morning and not rolling their eyes at my bad jokes. That means a lot. It proves they're good interns, is because they know to put up with all of the bad jokes that are told in the process. Corporal Robbie Wright, Sergeant Chad Henry, Baltimore County Police Department. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for doing it.
Thank you again.
Thanks.
All right. It is a Thursday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. We don't have another break to take, do we? Well, this is awkward because I want to get up and give the guys here. Griffin, do me a favor. Tell everybody something while I get up and give the guys a handshake.
All right. Let's see. Give me the new press box or the old press box print.
Hold that up and show everybody about press box.
Time is running down to get the latest edition of the press box print edition at your local Royal Farms. On the cover was Adley Rushman, the MoGABA Person of the Year, Baltimore Person of the Year, and our Best of 22 edition. So that is time is running down to get that. When's the last day they can get this edition?
Probably next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday.
I'll confirm that. Stan will let me know for sure what the date is, but it is next week for sure when that one will be gone. Gone, Daddy, gone. Thank you, Griffin. Way to step in there when I needed to say. I truly appreciate those guys, Sergeant Chad Henry and Corporal Robbie Wright, 2 guys I like a whole heck of a lot. On top of the fact that they have a noble job, unlike those of us that come in here and fight about Kevin Durant. They actually when they met, when they were trying to date somebody and met a parent, they were very impressed and they liked what it is. They said, or do we miss Danan because of it? It's fine if that's. It's fine. Life will go on. We will be all right. These things happen, man. We got other things we need to do to wrap up the show today anyway. By the way, I as always, I touched a nerve with the Kevin Durant thing. People are having to be reflective. From Chris. Glenn, you're being very dismissive of the actual difference between the two things. I get that there are other super teams, but nobody ever joined an already established team. You're trying to make that different. What was the end result? The end result in each case was super team. However it came about, whether it was because the team was already established and Kevin Durant joined it, or it was because LeBron James got together with his buddies and said, let's go create a super team. However it worked out, that's what happened. You want it to be different because you want to create a cognitive dissonance, right? You're trying to do that, but it's not actually different. The end result remained the same. The same thing that everybody else did. But again, you want to hate Kevin Durant? Hate Kevin Durant. I don't care. It doesn't impact me in any way. I just want him to go win a title now. That's all I care about at this point. All right. Speaking of titles, they're going to play for one on Sunday out in Glendale, Arizona. Chiefs and the Eagles. Joining us now, man that we've always enjoyed our conversations with. I know he's having a busy week, so appreciate Danan Hughes, Chiefs color analyst, squeezing some time in for us this morning. Danan, it's Glenn back in Baltimore. Always good to catch up. Thank you for taking a couple of minutes for us.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
It's great
to be on.
It's great to chat with you again. I guess it feels like the biggest storyline for the game itself right now is where are Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce health-wise? And after seeing what you saw in the AFC Championship game, How significant do you think it is if either one of them is still at all limited in this game?
I don't think it's significant at all. I think what we're looking at, everybody was a full participant in practice. I think, with the extra week in between, the fact that they pretty much came out of that AFC Championship unscathed, like I don't think that there's any real concern about any injury. Now, having said that, when you're dealing with an ankle and a back injury, anything can tweak that. But as of now, everything is kind of clear for these guys to be at 100% or as close to 100% as you can possibly be at this point of the season. So a lot of confidence here. I think it's like you talked about some different storylines. To me, one of the cool things about this matchup is that there aren't any negative storylines. It's like the most pure football that we'll be able to see this year. And I think that's what's going to make it even more entertaining is that it's just pure football. There's no venom. There's no trash talk. We got the utmost respect from two organizations for each other. All the great storylines with Nick Sirianni and his start here in Kansas City, and Andy, and obviously his career in Philly. The Kelsey brothers. Like there's just a lot of cool storylines, but nothing negative.
I think it's fair, and I think we're expecting a really good football game. I think that's a great point, Danan. What happened in the second? Was what we saw in the second half of the AFC Championship game when the Chiefs went cold offensively until the last field goal, those 3 drives beforehand, was that just the impact of the injuries to Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, or was it catching up with them, how depleted they've been at wide receiver? What did you see late in that game, and why might it be different on Sunday in Arizona?
So I think in that game, and I don't know if it was a negative, obviously it was a negative outcome because of the lack of production in that latter part of the game, but I felt like maybe we got away from the run game a little bit. We got a little bit we put too much pressure on scoring more points. And I think there's times where, like in those situations, we didn't run the ball, so we didn't run the clock. And if you remember, there were a couple of 3-and-outs. And they were all pass plays, and we didn't take up much clock, and we kicked the ball back to the Bengals. So maybe, just maybe a little bit too extra aggressive in that point, in that juncture of the game. And if they had to do it over, they probably would implement a little bit more of the running game and kind of reestablish the what's going on in the trenches. So, I think that's kind of one of those situations, maybe a little bit similar to what we did last year against the Bengals in the AFC Championship when we went a little bit cold in that second half. But also you have to give the Bengals credit because they are and have been one of the more dominant defenses in second halves of games this entire season.
No doubt about it. We're going to save – I want to come back to that play calling thing in a second because it's very unique for us in Baltimore, and I think you know why. But let me go back to Sunday. For you, the roadmap for the Chiefs to get the job done against what we know is a extraordinarily balanced, top-to-bottom, talented, one of the best rosters we've seen in the salary cap era in the Philadelphia Eagles. The roadmap, what 2 to 3 things do you have to happen for the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl?
So I feel like we're a very difficult team when you only play once, and that's where Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes have flourished is against NFC teams is because they're not used to our style of play. And you play them once, and it doesn't matter that you can get a lot of film study. You can, try to feel out some tendencies, etc. Once you're on the field, it's kind of a different animal. So to me, that's one perk that we have going into this game. The other is most teams, and you guys probably recognize this from past opportunities with the Ravens versus the Chiefs, is it seems like teams come into the game with a game plan and they get away from it too quickly. And they try to go throw for throw, score for score against Patrick Mahomes, and that plays right into our hands. I remember a matchup where John Harbaugh, I believe he had Lamar Jackson at the end of the game. He threw for like 40-something or 50 times in a game. And it's like, I'm sure that was not the game plan Monday through Saturday, but yet they got into the game and felt like we need to hurry up and score a 9-point touchdown. and keep putting points on the board, and that's just not going to work well for most teams against us. So if I'm looking at the Eagles, I'm feeling like, okay, Jalen Hurts is a very, very good quarterback, but if he's got 40-something pass attempts in this game, I feel like we'll have a good chance to win this game. You know, I think they're going to have to stick with their run game and not get caught up in what Patrick Mahomes is doing and try to match what he does.
That's a great point, and I remember that game well, and I remember spending the week afterwards saying, this was insane. What in the world were you thinking? Although, in fairness, the Ravens actually did end up getting back into that game at the end, ironically, and having a chance, but I had no idea what the thought process was with that game plan. I remember it well. All right, Danan Hughes, as I just alluded to, relevant conversation in Baltimore this week. Adam Schefter says yesterday that Eric Bieniemy is still very much in the conversation for both the Washington and Baltimore offensive coordinator positions. And this goes to us sort of the eternal question. It's twofold. One, do you believe that Eric Bieniemy really would leave to get that opportunity to be out of Andy Reid's shadow and have the chance to be singularly responsible for an offense? And then two, what do we know about Eric Bieniemy as far as that? What would, if he ends up being the Ravens' next offensive coordinator, what would we know definitively about him separated from Andy Reid?
So I think it's one of the worst stories in the NFL, and it has been for the last 4 years, that Eric Bieniemy has not gotten a head coaching job. And the fact that, like right now, that all of the talk is about a lateral move. Like, who in the NFL history that has been an orchestrator in a top offense that has been to 5 straight AFC championships, hosted them, 3 Super Bowls in 4 years, and with the best player in the league, managing that personnel, has ever had to go lateral move in order to get more credibility? I think it's just been a terrible stain on the NFL. And it's very tough to digest the fact that, like, we didn't have to say that about Matt Nagy. We didn't have to say that about Doug Peterson. We didn't have to say that about pretty much any other coordinator in any other team, like Nathaniel Hackett. Like, I mean, you can go through the list of offensive coordinators or quarterbacks coaches or what have you that got opportunities because they flourished at their job. It wasn't that they had more credentials than Eric Bieniemy. So I think it's been a travesty that, you know, we have to talk about this, and he has to get out of Andy Reid's shadow in order to get credibility. He has a very solid resume, and I wish owners would have seen that, because I see it firsthand. I watch how he interacts with these guys. I watch how he leads these men, and what's the most impressive is how he manages the egos and manages the star power on this team, and has done so. I mean, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, the list goes on of guys that we've had that you don't really hear any dissension. You don't hear about any, guys clamoring for the ball or having issues. And to me, that's direct correlation to the leadership and Eric Bieniemy, and it should. So, there is definitely some rumors out there that he has to make a lateral move, and possibly that might be the way he'll go. But I feel like it's just a terrible stain on the NFL that's actually what we have to talk about.
So, Dan, I really appreciate what you're saying, and I of course I agree with you. I do think, and obviously the thing that stands out is, of course, it's a black coach that's happening with, and not a white coach, to your point. Selfishly, obviously, I would say if that helps the Ravens get a heck of an offensive coordinator, I mean, it still doesn't make it right, but like, hey, here we are.
If you insist, we'll take them.
Right,
yeah, I know.
Right. Like, I'm not going to begrudgingly say like, no, I don't want to. We need an offense coordinator, man. Like, we're in the boat that we're in.
But it's been crazy because, and I know you probably heard it as well, is when there have been times in games or in portions of season where the offense hasn't really, been at the top of their potential and hasn't really produced. It's always about Eric Bieniemy. Well, what is EB doing, or why is the offense not doing this? But when we're flourishing and we're the number one offense,
it's Andy
passing
Reid.
yards and everything, it's Andy Reid. And that's kind of, we didn't hear that back in the day with Doug Peterson and Matt Nagy and everybody else. So that's the disheartening part that I actually pay attention to, that I've been a part of with being part of the broadcast team, is like, and I make sure that during the game, when I'm calling the game, that I try to give him as much kudos as possible, because I feel like there's a lot of the negative that comes along with it too.
If you were someone who cared about the Baltimore Ravens, how excited would you be about the possibility of Eric Bieniemy? And we don't know if either one of them is going to be here at this point, but the possibility of it being Eric Bieniemy working with Lamar Jackson.
Oh, I think it would be great. I mean, the creativity, EB brings, I feel like, it's kind of like the movie A Beautiful Mind, where you have all the numbers and everything kind of on right in front of his face. I feel like that's what you have with the creativity of Eric Bieniemy. Like, he'll see that offense, a healthy Lamar Jackson, maybe getting a couple more weapons on the outside for him. And then, using the tight end like he does. I mean, you're talking about, okay, you go from Travis Kelce to Mark Andrews. Okay, yeah, that's that's a pretty darn good arsenal of weapons that you already have. If you can get one more wide receiver, I feel like that will open up the floodgates for that offense to really flourish better than it has been.
It sounds pretty good to us, which means we're definitely going to get stuck with a terrible offensive coordinator and Derek Carr as our quarterback. Just because that's the way that it tends to work. Danan Hughes, really appreciate. I know how busy you are. I know it's an insane week when you're getting ready for a Super Bowl. I really appreciate you doing it. I want to remind everybody, it's at DAHughesGuy83 on Twitter, correct?
Yes, it is.
Give him
and
a follow.
Danan Hughes on Instagram.
And hopefully we'll be seeing you back in College Park at some point for some baseball this spring. Hopefully.
Oh, yeah.
We get you here, the Big Ten Network, ESPN, something like that, for some Terps baseball after we know it was an exciting season a year ago. Appreciate you doing this.
Oh, yeah, they're going to be good this year, too. I think they're the only ranked Big Ten team.
You lose
preseason.
a lot in Max Costas, obviously, and Bubba Aline more than any. Like, Bubba Aline, my God, what a stud that guy was. Holy crap, I love that dude. But the pitching, for sure, is there.
Yep.
Like, it should definitely be an exciting season. Danan, appreciate it, man. Thanks for hopping on with us.
No problem. Anytime.
Danan Hughes with us as they get ready for the Super Bowl. Appreciate him spending a couple of minutes with us this morning. We need to get some fighting words. Oh, my God, we still forgot we needed to do an open. Griffin, you weren't here. Did you come up with an open for
I have
a
a little something.
All right, well, let's see what you got.
Right,
let's see how it goes. It's
2
time.
seconds,
It's time for fighting words here on Glenn Clark Radio. All right, I think we could flush that out a little bit more and like improve. Also, we better make sure his brother sues everyone who uses his catchphrase.
Oh, really?
We better make sure that
Then.
Yeah, now that I think about it, we might not want to do that. We might want to erase that.
Okay.
I appreciate where your head was, but I just don't know. I'm telling you legitimately. Of course, everybody knows. I don't even know if we can fit. Let's get ready to that his brother uses.
He doesn't like when people even say it.
No, like he sues you out and he seeks you out and sues you over it.
Wow.
I don't know how Bruce is. Like, I don't know if that's similar. I don't know if he owns the right to it. UFC owns the right to it. I don't know how any of that works, but I'm telling you, Michael Buffer is a problem. Like, to the point where every year you get an email when you work for a radio company reminding you that you may not use it in a promo. You cannot use because he will seek you out. So I just don't know the rules, and maybe I like where your head's at. It's a good idea. Just maybe not moving forward.
Okay.
All right. Now, we definitely did not. I want to make this abundantly clear. We made no money off of playing that clip right there. Let's get into fighting words for this week. What do we need to know about, Charles?
I'm going to make it quick this week. We're already past the second hour. First, we'll wrap up last week's fighting words, that ESPN Top Rank event.
Oh, how did Muhammad Ali's grandson do?
He won unanimous decision against Eduardo Alaya. He clipped him in the 6th round with a sharp counter right hook. And the scorecards.
Remind me his name.
Nico Ali Walsh.
Nico Ali Walsh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Layla's nephew.
Right. Correct.
Yeah. So scorecards were 60, 53, 59, 54, and 59, 54.
What was the consensus about? Does it continue? Like, was this a fight against a legitimate opponent? Was this does this make people say, like, this dude is going places? Or does it make people say,
this was
like,
a fight to, get closer to that higher, this number and no.
Okay.
Like, he's got to get those fights to get to 20-0, 25-0.
100%. 100%.
Continuing with what happened this past weekend, Bellator 290 and DAZN Amanda Serrano event happened. Amanda Serrano, she had an impressive victory over Erica Cruz to become the undisputed champ, and she will have her rematch with Katie Taylor in Ireland in May. And sadly, Fedor, he retired on a sad note. He kind of got dispatched of by Ryan Bader in the first round. It made for a very gloom, depressing, sad weekend for mixed martial arts, as well as Derek Lewis also kind of getting dispatched. Fight night. Just tough to see a lot of heavyweights go like that. So,
well, Derek Lewis will stick around, I think. You know, they'll give him somebody easy next. I think, and the hype will come back for Derek Lewis.
I mean, people like watching Derek Lewis fight.
Yeah.
He's been a fun fighter to watch over the years. I think everybody that is a Derek Lewis fan kind of realizes that where he was in his career. I don't think that there was anybody that was still clinging to hopes that he could be the greatest fighter of all time or something like that.
Yeah, he has fun fights, and then
I think it's just about watching a fun fighter.
They always stick him up against some Olympian, and then it always ruins his momentum.
Yeah, there's that. The Fedor thing. What was more interesting to me is some of the comments afterwards. I guess Dana White tried to S on Fedor afterwards. I never thought he was one of the great heavyweights of all time or something like that. Whereas was pointed out by a few MMA writers, Dana White absolutely was trying to sign Fedor, and if he had successfully done it, he would have promoted him as being the greatest, heavyweight fighter in the history of mixed martial arts. So it's very self-serving. There's somewhere between those two things is the truth, which is that Fedor was one of the most hyped fighters of all time. I drove up to East Rutherford, New Jersey, back when the Nets used to play at the Meadowlands, at that kind of crap arena that existed there. I don't remember what it was called. I thought that was the one in Newark, was the Prudential Center.
Okay.
This was the one literally right next to the football stadium. And I drove up when they were doing the heavyweight Grand Prix that ended up being a disaster. Fighters got hurt. They really, I guess this would have been Strikeforce, had really promoted this heavyweight Grand Prix. I don't remember. Look up who all. I think it was Antonio Silva ended up being, but it was ill-fated. They had done a lot of promotion for it. I remember them bringing out fighters on Radio Row when we were at the Super Bowl, and they went heavy on promoting this heavyweight Grand Prix, and then Fedor lost early, and somebody else got hurt. I think a replacement fighter might have ended up winning the Grand Prix. It was a disaster, and this was supposed to be a big moment for the company. And part of it was Fedor, all of this hype and everybody buying in, the last emperor, and then he loses. And you're like, oh, no.
But, yeah, it's no secret that Dana was trying to sign him. During his reign, he kept beating guys that were leaving the UFC for other personal problems with
This was 2012, by the way. Daniel Cormier was apparently part of it. So, in hindsight, it was actually cool, but
UFC bought Strikeforce probably a little bit after that too, as well.
Yeah, when was that? I'm trying to find the actual event that I went to. It was definitely at the arena in New Jersey. I believe it was called the Izod Center Strikeforce. Yeah, let me see if I can. No. Strikeforce Heavyweight Grand Prix.
Was it June?
Yeah, maybe that sounds about right. Hang on a second. I can find it. Strikeforce Fedor versus Silva. This was the event. And Antonio Silva beat Fedor in the second round. It was a doctor stoppage, but he was he won the fight. Yeah, right. There was no doubt about it. And it really kind of changed things for everybody. That moment really changed the course of Fedor. It changed the course of Strikeforce. This was their moment. This was their chance. And it all kind of went to hell when, Fedor lost that fight. From there, he lost his next fight. Oh, he had a Dan Henderson. Oh, God. And
that's something Dana mentioned. He was like, how can he be the best when he lost to middleweight Dan Hendo?
I mean, dude, no disrespect to the career that Dan Henderson had,
right.
But, come on, man.
That's as caveman, archaic boxing as you get.
And then in Bellator, it was just all kind of cheap. It was almost carnival stuff, right? Who could we throw him into a ring with that people would care about, whether it was, Frank Mir or Chael Sonnen or Ryan
Quinn
Rampage Jackson. And I used to love Rampage Jackson too. Oh, that was my dude. He used to come on my shows a lot. Like, he was great. And then he did the movie, the A-Team movie, and he was going to be a major celebrity, and then he just kind of, drifted away. There is a point there. There is a point. Again, it is convenient for Dana White, and of course Dana White is the carnival barkeriest of all of the carnival barkers, right? Like, he is very comfortable in that role. So anytime he says something, you immediately can roll your eyes and just sort of say, all right, dude, like, you were trying to sign the guy. But the point of where do we actually view Fedor as a fighter? I don't know. Like, he definitely was a great fighter, but he's not only not the greatest heavyweight of all time. Is he a top 5? Is he a top? What do the results actually tell us about who Fedor was? I think the question becomes, how much do we really know about everything he did? Like, he beat a lot of legitimate. He beat Mirko. He beat, Andrei Arlovsky. He beat Tim Sylvia. There are good wins before, he became a prominent American fighter.
He has the prominence he has because
Beat Big
he was
Rod.
beating guys in Ryzen, and not Ryzen.
It was Pride. Pride, yes.
Pride during a time when Pride was looked at as the elite top tier promotion. They were above the UFC at that time and having the elite fighters and having the elite events.
Look, it's an interesting debate. I'm telling you, I was willing to drive 3 hours to East Rutherford, New Jersey on a Saturday night to go watch Fedor fight because it was that big of a deal to me. Like, I couldn't believe that I was getting to see, Fedor fight in America. Like, I was thrilled. And, even after I forgot that he had lost before that. I forgot that he lost to Verdum. Oh, God, I totally forgot about that. I utterly forgot about that. A first-round submission. And I was still that excited about the idea of watching Fedor fight. Like, dude, I got in the car and drove on a Saturday night 3 hours to go watch that dude fight and drove back in the middle of the night. Like, that's how excited I was about Fedor. All right, one other thing?
Something that has been talked about this week that people seemingly aren't as excited as MMA fans would say you should be excited for. 2 guys fighting this weekend for the number 1 pound-for-pound status under the UFC banner. Volkanovski is challenging and moving up for the 155 belt after beating Max Holloway and Korean Zombie last year. And Islam Makhachev has recently seen his pound-for-pound status rise after defeating lightweight great Charles Oliveira. The two have a combined 2 losses in pro MMA. And, there's just a conversation that there's been under promotion of this pay-per-view event in relation to other ventures by Dana White. And I could really try and do my best sales pitch for this card in Perth, Australia. But outside of the 2 title fights, it is very just put together. And for the $79.99 pay-per-view price, it's hard to really
I'd maybe go
make
watch
a sales pitch for
I
somewhere else.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, Charles. I mean, even the featherweight interim title, I am not even too all excited about.
Yeah,
because
it's
who is
Yair
that?
Rodriguez and Josh Emmett.
And this is the fight. The only reason Josh Emmett is there is because he won a split decision over Calvin Kattar, who's my favorite guy, and he shouldn't have even won that because Kattar won that fight.
Okay. So. It's hard to get excited for because they're fighting for.
Now you're doing the bit that Ken was accusing me of doing a little bit earlier, where you're putting some personal bias in.
Well, there is, yeah.
Well,
I mean, Emmett's a good guy. He deserves a title shot at some point, but I don't think he deserves this title shot. So.
They're fighting for an interim belt that is the belt that Volkanovski holds right now. Like, it's like kind of one of those things where.
All right, so here's my real question: do you actually believe that the winner of this fight is the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world? There's two problems here.
Yeah.
Look, the one that you don't want to deal with is the fact that neither one of them is an American fighter, and they both have difficult names to pronounce. So, like, this is just the way that the world works. I'm not giving a pass for it. American casual fight fans will not be as excited about it. Like, will never be as excited. It was the Khabib problem, right? Mm-hmm. Like, everybody within the fight game knew Khabib was the dude, but the casual fan was never going to embrace Khabib the way that they embraced Conor McGregor and, even Israel Adesanya. Honestly, Israel Adesanya actually did a pretty good job of overcoming that, right? Like, he did a pretty good job of overcoming having a difficult name to pronounce.
Very entertaining. And,
yes.
and you wanted to see him.
I would say Kamaru Usman. He overcame it.
That's a great point. In fact, it's interesting. That's really interesting. That like, why do some guys overcome that and other guys don't?
If Volkanovski wins this, he should be able to overcome.
You
that
think
kind
he
of
will
thing.
I think guys, it all comes down to just knowing how to play the game, do
To
the back and
market
forth, the
yourself,
banter.
And that's
all
the
that.
issue with these two guys.
They're very
This
respectful.
This should be. I mean, this is a really, really exciting fight because Volkanovski's kind of always been counted out at some point in all of his title defenses, and he's shown up. And then Islam is obviously the Khabib prodigy, Khabib 2.0, and it looks like he should go on a Khabib type run. But again, neither of them really,
I'm in a weird place.
Promote
like,
themselves.
At best,
it doesn't seem like the UFC's helping either.
At best, I'm a casual fight fan at this point, right? Like I just have a lot of other things going on in my life. Once upon a time, I drove 3 hours to watch Fedor fight. Like I used to be a huge fight fan. I'm a casual at most at this point, and I've no juice. And I know it's a good fight. Like I know it's a good fight. I got no juice.
And the rest of it, this card is, it's miserable.
There's two fights on the prelims. Like they had 4 fights get canceled, so
gosh,
I don't even know how they're going to put it together because they have like 6 fights on the early prelims.
Is it one that's
but
airing
only
on
2
ESPN?
Yeah, it's supposed to be on ESPN. The prelims are supposed to be on ESPN.
Yeah, it's going to be rough. They're really banking on some finishes.
Eek.
Yeah, I think Kai Kara France and Rob Whittaker were supposed to be on this card, and they had to pull out for some reason. Like that would have helped a lot. But
yeah, Whittaker versus Costa and Kara France, I think had
Alex
Perez, yeah.
So that's Saturday night. Again, in normal time in America, just the fight that's happening in Australia, but it's a normal 10 o'clock fight time for the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
All right, very good.
We're going to pick winners real quick? Or?
You're so... Go ahead.
And other than that, I just had a preview of UFC announced Tough 31, Conor McGregor.
Oh, right. After that was a big story. Probably
probably the
biggest
going
story
head-to-head
of
as coaches.
But we don't know when their fight is going to be.
It'll be in September, but they've been talking about it this past week through the circles. Conor has not entered back into the USADA pool, and he has to have 2 negative tests. So either they're gonna do some home cooking, or
I think
it's gonna be pushed back.
I think the answer is definitely the former. I think we know that they're gonna make sure.
Can Conor get to 155?
So yeah, that's the other thing. It's looking like it's gonna be a 70-pound matchup.
Okay.
So for just the stars and glamour, yeah.
All right. Very good. Thank you very much. Good. Who do you think is going to win the fight, Griff?
Man, I think Islam's going to win.
Okay.
I want to root for Volk. It'd be really, really cool if he wins, but it seems like Islam Makhachev just might be the boogeyman, and I'm not sure who's going to beat him for a while.
Okay.
And then I'll take Yair in the other title fight.
What about you?
So I'm gonna go with Volk because Khabib, it's been talked about, will not be in Islam's corner for this fight.
Right.
He's thinking about. He's got 1 foot in the door, 1 foot out, whether he wants to continue coaching. And I think Islam's going to fall into that game of trying to kickbox. And Volkanovski, he, like you said, he's always doubted.
Yeah.
And then he goes out there and completely smokes.
I mean, Ortega had him in a rear naked choke for like a minute and a half.
But that was 2 minutes of the fight Ortega won. And the other 23 minutes, he was getting dominated.
So
Zombie got dominated.
I hope you're right.
Looking back on it, Max got dominated in 2 of the fights. It's like,
All right.
I hope you're right.
All right.
But I think Islam. I still
you
think
want to
Islam
put a darkness retreat side bet on this? You want to maybe throw that in
oh,
there?
man. I'm not even going to pay for the pay-per-view. So
yeah. All right. Fair enough. Thank you, Charles. Good job. Good job with the fighting words this week. Griffin, I hate to keep pushing it back. We're gonna have to push movie review back again. I don't know when we're gonna do it, and I need you to watch another movie. So we'll have to. Maybe we'll do a double header next week, something like that. But we'll push movie review back. Tidbit is brought to you today by your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Oh man, the Toyota Tacoma comes in a range of models and trim lines, so you can choose the perfect Tacoma to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals and new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today.
All right, since we're talking about trades and obviously all these NBA players playing for a bunch of different teams now, I wanted to see if there are 5 players who are tied to have played for the most NBA teams. 12 of them. They've played for 12 NBA teams. I want to see if you can name.
No idea.
I want to see if you can name any.
I already have 2 right off the bat in my head.
I mean,
go for it.
Sam Cassell?
No.
No? Okay.
I mean, he did play for a lot of teams.
Is it John or Jim Jackson? I can't remember.
There you go, Jim Jackson. Jim
Yeah.
Jackson played for 12 teams.
I'm gonna throw it out there because we had him on this week. The Joe Smith.
It is Joe Smith.
Okay.
Has also played for 12 NBA
So
teams.
that's I should have guessed that one because 2K does this thing where like with the historic teams, they have players on the bottom of the bench. They're like 60 overalls, and their names are always Joe Smith.
Okay, that's pretty funny. Is there any chance that Tony Massenberg, fellow former Terp, fellow friend of the program?
There's a big
All right,
chance.
I didn't know if it was
Tony
12 or
Massenberg,
not.
12 teams.
I knew it was a lot. I knew
Yeah.
he played for basically everybody, but I didn't know. And how many more did you say
There's
there were?
2 more. There's 2 more. One of these guys
two
is
more.
still active, is still in the league, so he could break the record.
Still active, could break the record.
I just peeked and seen it, so I'm not going to say anything.
all right.
I don't think you're going to be able to guess.
Oh, good. I mean, give me something.
Okay, so the active guy is currently.
Oh no!
on-
Give me
oh,
okay.
okay.
Yeah, you're giving me a hint.
Yeah.
All right, give me a
He's
hint.
currently on the Nuggets, and he's a point guard.
Nuggets?
He's a point guard. Also played for the Wizards.
That would require me to know anybody who
right.
played for the Wizards.
Recently played for the Wizards.
Recently played for the Wizards. Well, it's not Will Barton.
It is not
because
Will
he went
Barton.
the other way.
Yeah.
I'm gonna feel stupid, but go ahead.
Just tell you.
Yeah.
It is Ish Smith.
Oh, Ish Smith. He
Ish
played for the
Smith.
Suns at one point too.
Yeah.
I played for everybody, right? I get it.
And then this guy was drafted at the end of the second round in 1989. He went to NC State. There's really no hints.
Tom Gugliotta?
Yeah, no, I can't really. I can't think. He was he won the NBA
Say
title
that,
in.
Go ahead.
He won the NBA title in 1995 with the Rockets.
With the Rockets out of NC, I don't.
The Gugliotta drop, that gives my father PTSD.
Why?
Of being a 90s Wolves fan.
Oh, okay.
Just like,
all right.
He wasn't.
Gugliotta.
We dealt with him as Maryland. He was a hell of a player.
Wally Zerbiak. Oh,
God.
Christian Leitner.
It was all white guys. Huh? They just went white guy to white guy to white. Did Cherokee Parks ever end up with the Timberwolves?
Probably.
Yeah, I don't think you're getting him. He played for the Suns in '96. Chucky Brown.
I don't even know who Chucky Brown
Chucky
is.
Brown.
I'm being completely honest with you. I've never heard.
Played for 12 NBA teams.
Apparently he
gets
did.
his name on this list.
Apparently
in
he
this
did.
conversation.
All right.
Has to be mentioned.
All right, very good, very good. Thank you. Some of those were names I could have gotten. I would not have gotten Jim Jackson either. I would have not. We would never get. I only would have gotten Joe Smith and Tony Massenberg because they're Maryland guys.
Yeah.
It's the only reason that we joke about that sometimes. All right, very good. Let's get Tubular. Tubular is brought to you by PressBoxOnline.com/offers. That's who is
Cherokee Parks.
Holy crap!
In a Wolves
They
uniform.
really had all of them. Every single one. God. In fairness, Wally Zerbiak was a player, man. I like Wally Zerbiak.
This isn't even the era in question for Wolves fans. There was an era where Rick Adelman was our coach.
Okay.
And he was just bringing in Europe. It was when we had Kevin Love. Only Europeans. He would not bring in any Americans. Only Europeans. We had AK-47. We had Vucevic, Ricky Rubio.
Some of those guys could play.
Who's the other small point guard? Not Dellavedova, but Barea.
Barea.
Barea. We had Luke Ridnour. I can't even believe I'm remembering all these people. But only Europeans.
That is a rough stretch. All right, bet $5 with DraftKings and instantly get $200 in bonus bets for this weekend's big game. Get this and other great sportsbook promos and specials at PressBoxOnline.com/offers. That's PressBoxOnline.com/offers. Here's what's coming up tonight, totally tubular-wise. Maryland women are in action this evening and again on television, which I like, although last week I didn't like it when Caitlin Clark was dropping 40 on them. Tonight they're at Northwestern, 8:30 on Big Ten Network. Big Ten hoops this evening, ESPN2, Iowa, Purdue at 7, FS1 for Northwestern, Ohio State at 8. The rest of the college basketball find at GlennClarkRadio.com. TNT, Bulls Nets at 7:30, Bucks Lakers at 10. That was, of course, going to be exciting because it was supposed to be LeBron James going to break the record, and now it's nothing. It's.
You see D'Angelo Russell's debut.
That's true. I guess there's that. I don't. I wish they could. I wish they could swap out Bulls Nets for Suns Hawks. I wish they could do that.
I think KD. I think he was already dealing with a knee injury. I think they said
so he's not going to play anyway.
With the Nets, I think they're saying he should be back after the All-Star break.
Okay.
So but who knows? Maybe that just goes.
Yeah.
away.
All of a sudden, he's just fine now that he's in Phoenix. It wouldn't surprise me. ESPN
weather.
It's makes a lot of people feel better. Although tonight's game's in Atlanta, so. ESPN Avalanche Lightning at 7 o'clock. Golf Channel for round 1 of the Waste Management Open, which is also out in Arizona at 3 o'clock. Arizona's the center of the sports universe right now. That's at 3 o'clock. That's, of course, the one where everybody gets drunk. That's their big selling point. Watch this golf tournament because everybody gets drunk and throws their beers out on the course when somebody makes a.
Did you go to that when you were?
Oh, I not only did I go to it, I talked about this. I hated it. Everybody kept going on about how great the Waste Management Open was, and I was like, I can drink anywhere, right? Like, I don't have to be at a golf tournament in order to drink, and I just care so nothing about golf that when and the problem too is that everybody they were talking to me like, oh, dude, yeah, you're gonna miss the Preakness, but here we got the Waste Management Open. I'm like, all right, and then I get there and I'm like,
not the Preakness,
guys. I'm sorry, like it's still a golf tournament.
Yeah, at least there's excitement for 2 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, like I get it. Like in hindsight, the Preakness then because they didn't have music in the infield at that point, like. It was just all you were doing was just getting rip-roaring drunk, and like people were running. Remember, this is why they had to change things in the infield. Like people were running across the urinals, and everybody was throwing full beer cans at them. I mean, it was an S show on the Preakness infield, which is why they changed everything all those years ago. But I got out there, and I'm just like, what the? Like, you guys care this much about? It's just a golf tournament. It stinks. Yes, I get it. You can drink, but again, I can drink at a bar. I can drink at my house. I don't need to come to a golf tournament in order to drink. I did not. It was a vastly overrated experience. But I did get to play in. They did it wasn't a pro-am. It was like a media event where you got to try to hit the green on the famous 16th hole. They did do that. I did not.
Oh.
I missed it badly. Could
have told us you got really close, or
nope.
you hit the green really far.
I want to make this very clear. Although randomly one time back, because again, when you live in Arizona, golf is like part of life, and so especially when you work in radio, you're constantly being asked to be in like a celebrity golf event, and I'm like, I would always feel terrible when somebody would show up and they think they were getting like Mark Grace as their celebrity partner, and it'd be the dope from the radio station, like. Hi, I'm Glenn. Do you want to take some pictures with me? And I suck at golf, so got that going for us. But there was one that I played in. There was a closest to the pin, and it was a car, but you had to pay $150, $100, something like that, in order to get in order to win the car. And like somebody was winning the car. You didn't have to hit a hole in one. Somebody was winning the car because it was just close to the pin. And I was like, guys, I suck. Like I'll give $20 to the charity or whatever. Like I'm very bad at golf. Like, I'm not going to do this. And I swear to God, I put it within 3 feet.
Wow.
Like, 3 feet.
Would you have
from
won?
the hole? Oh, 1,000% I would have won. And in fact,
how much of your life would be different if you?
The lady after I hit the shot was like, if everybody's good with it in your group, I'll let you pay now, right? Like, I'll let you pay now. And there was one person in the group was like, that's not, and they weren't even going to win. Like, their shot was terrible. Like, they weren't even going to win. And they were like, that's not fair to everyone. That we can't do that. That's against the. I'm like, Jesus Christ, lady. Right, I don't think it was a lady. I think it was a dude. Like, man, that's so. Yep, I would have won a car.
Need a new car much?
Like, I would have won it. And I was only like 25 at the time. It was a big deal. Like, I would have won a car, but I just didn't put the money down because I was convinced that I was going to suck and I was going to miss badly, and I literally stuck it. Like, it was it didn't roll there. I stuck the shot. Like, it hit and it dropped. And I didn't, because like I'm not good at golf and I can't tell, and I knew it was a good shot. Like, I felt good about it. I saw it going towards the green, but somebody up near the green started freaking out, like convinced that I had put my money in and I had just won the car. Like, there was somebody up by the green like, yo! To the point where for a second I thought I might have hit a hole in one. I was like, oh my God. I didn't do that, but yeah.
So watch the Waste Management today.
Yeah, for whatever. All that was to say watch the Waste Management. Tonight at 9 on NBC and NFL Network, the NFL Honors. So we will learn about all the awards as well as the Hall of Fame class tonight. MLB Network will announce the World Baseball Classic rosters at 6 o'clock this evening, and Access TV for Impact Wrestling at 8. Non-sports highlights?
Kelly Clarkson's hosting the NFL Honors.
Can't miss that.
O'Shea Jackson Jr.
I'm not going to lie. There's a couple Kelly Clarkson songs that are still bangers to me.
Of course. Yeah.
Since You've Been Gone, banger. Banger.
What doesn't kill you makes you strong.
I don't feel
like
as strongly about that one.
Like
Behind These Hazel Eyes, jam and a half.
O'Shea Jackson Jr. is promoting Cocaine Barrel and James Corden.
I didn't know that he was in that.
Apparently he is. I didn't know he was.
Ice Cube's son. Of course.
I've already looked to see if I can watch it online twice, and it still hasn't came out in theaters.
No, you're not supposed to pirate these things, or at least not admit to.
Like to stream it, like to like
pay
on.
to okay,
yeah,
very good.
But it hasn't even come out in theaters. Like
I tell you what, you shouldn't pay to stream. The Banshees of Inisherin. Don't waste your time.
Wow. Okay. Also, McConaughey's on Fallon.
Of course, Colin Farrell's going to win Best Actor, too. Like, he's going to win. And I'm going to be like, eh.
New season of Impractical Jokers premieres tonight on True TV.
Oh, that's nice.
Have you and I had this conversation?
Well, I'm sure we have. I talked about it over the summer when there are new episodes. I was reminding you every week.
It's fake. You know it's not.
Who cares? Also, I don't think it's that fake.
It's definitely fake.
And also, who cares? It's funny.
Fine. I'm good with that.
New season of You premieres on Netflix tonight or today.
I've definitely watched every. I know it's for chicks, but I've watched every part because what's his face, Penn Badgley's from Baltimore. But like,
oh really?
I was wondering why he was making the media tour the last couple weeks. I've seen him like a couple times.
Been heavy.
I'm like,
Tyus is really into You as well. We've talked about You a
Okay.
few times. Like I hate the fact that I love that show, but I do. I am such a chick in that way. Like I love You.
And the new episode of Poker Face on Peacock.
With
Ryan
Natasha
Johnson.
Lyonne,
Yeah, Natasha Lyonne. Yeah. That's it.
Very good. Thanks today to Danan Hughes. Thanks also to Chelsea Janes. Thanks to Ken Zalis. We'll get all that up in the greatest hits section of the
Oh my God, it's so good.
tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Thanks to all of you that were fighting with me about Kevin Durant. I get it.
You're welcome.
You got a lot of hate in your hearts. It's fine. I understand. But, you're wrong.
Wow.
That's just the way that it goes. Stan the Fan will be here tomorrow. Do we have anything? for the
Jacob
show?
Copeland should be able to join us
Really?
tomorrow.
All right. Former Maryland wide receiver getting ready for the NFL draft. Not the perfect day for that, but we'll make it work. We'll make it work.
Stuff and things.
Okay.
Working on.
All right. Good. It's very hopeful.
Yeah, I'm hopeful.
Good. We better be hopeful. All right. That's tomorrow on the program. Thanks to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including the Baltimore County Police Department, Problem Gambling, Royal Farms, Costas Inn, Maryland Jockey Club, Great Eights Memorabilia, Maryland Vascular Specialists, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Charles, it's at AP 28.
Yep, indeed.
That's it?
Mm-hmm.
AP 28? Just
Yep.
AP? I thought it was something else.
Charles AP 28.
Charles AP 28. That's what
Yeah.
I meant. I was like, you really got AP 28?
Yeah.
Adrian Peterson?
Oh,
doesn't know
you
that?
said Charles,
Yeah,
and then so
Charles AP 28 is how you follow him on Instagram at Griffin_Bass to follow him, us at Glenn Clark Radio on Twitter, Instagram, and we got new content this week at TikTok. Charles is working hard on that. Appreciate him for it. All right. Have a great Thursday evening. Go Maryland women. Duke sucks.